And this is the first semifinal in World Desert 2 Championships. With me, I have Ornlu, who is one of the hosts of this event and put a lot of work into it. Should be a big one today. A reminder that it is a 3v3 tournament that starts off with 1v1s. So potentially 9 games, as there is now a best of 3 and 1v1s to earn the first win. And then it will be 6 3v3s after that. We got Arctic Circle. We got Sato in the blue playing for My Insanity. And we got Miguel in the red playing for Barbatacos, which is kind of a new team here, Orlu.
Yeah, well, it's a old team with a new piece. Of course, Miguel and Dogao have been playing together at least since I've been casting, and way longer than that. And then you have the My Insanity team. It's kind of this hodgepodge of various players from different places. You have Anatov from Germany, Sato from France, ACCM from Vietnam, Daniel from America. So it's taken them, I think, a little bit to sort of gel together as a team, but recently they have been looking extremely good.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing I like about My Insanity is I think they all complement each other really well. And that's going to be the same for any team that's in these semifinals. But ACCM was a great addition. I feel like ACCM has a little bit more like late game grit. It's a weird thing to really quantify, but he's got like that stay alive, take it to super late game mentality, where I feel like sometimes maybe like Sato and Daniel are really good at getting the damage in early, but they maybe would struggle themselves in like as the games progress. So great addition there. I'm excited to see him. I think Anatov is also one of the most strategic minds in the game, and everyone will say that. You just don't see him play 1v1, so a lot of people don't really give him that credit. But we got Burmese, Japanese here. Japanese I was expecting. Burmese was not the infantry civ I thought we would see, but I suppose it does kind of make sense. You got like good eco. You have the infantry potential if you want to open man at arms. I think their navy's all right. You'll know more about that than me, but it's not as clear as Japanese.
It's good enough to get the job done. Honestly, for the purposes of this map, you do have elite cannon galleons with siege engineers, so you can range most of the map.
Of course you go to elite cannon galleon and siege engineers. Now, did you look at the tech tree, or did you just have that memorized?
I do know that.
Okay, all right. Are you? I mean, I'm jealous of that information. So, well, this map, for anyone who's brand new, the obvious thing, and I think that what has actually made this map super fun, is the fact that you can walk over the ice with your units. So, scouts, militia, all those things could walk into the middle and disrupt fishing ships, and that also means that you can have multiple villagers around your dock taking food if you wish to. So that's something to keep in mind. For now, though, Miguel has docked the outside, and so has Sato on the other side.
Yeah, so we typically see on this map Japanese. I mean, it's a map with a lot of fish, and Japanese like to fish, so that makes sense. But the back dock does give you a little bit more room to fish boom. And as you were saying, the fact that you can send the villagers forward and they can just walk all over the ice and gather from the fish, that's all fine and dandy. But because it is traversable by both land and sea units, the villagers can end up getting extremely exposed. And, well, we've seen a lot of very sad villagers half floating in the icy water on this map.
Yeah, I like the map because, well, one of my favorite games on it was the game between Dogao and Kapwatch. And
oh, yeah, that was a great one.
Dogao was against Byzantines, and his opponent was right in the middle, and he was trying to think through his options, I'm sure. He's like, I can't go Navy against Byzantines when he already has docks. So he said, screw it, I'm going to go scouts. And it turned into a really interesting game. It was one of the longer games of the 1v1s. And I do have an interesting story there, too. So I'm pretty close with Miguel. Like, we don't talk as much these days because he's less active. But, every now and then, just shooting him a text, how's it going? And after tournament sets, I'm usually sending messages to players. So when Barbatacos won their quarterfinal series, was it quarterfinals they played against Slapodi? Or was that?
It was their decider set in the group stage.
Okay, all right. So it was that series, right? So it was way early on. I sent him a message. It was like, hey, well played. You guys looked good. Because I wasn't really sure this team was going to make a deep run. They brought in a new player in Kingston. Miguel doesn't play the game as much. The list goes on. And anyways, Miguel goes, thank God that Dogal's 1v1 with Capwatch went on for so long, because we used that whole time to look through every map and prepare more than we had done before the series started. And I was like, well, that's a great use of the time. And he's like, yeah, we thanked Dogal later on. It was the real difference. So, because it seemed to me like they had some really good plans. So I just thought that was a funny little detail.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, like they did look very well prepared, and you know, they carried that through into their quarterfinal set versus Fox, where I think they were a pretty heavy underdog. Fox has been looking really good. They were able to beat Wii Sports in the group stage, and suddenly it's like, oh, that's right. These guys are really good at team games, and Kingstone has been gelling more and more with Miguel and Dogao, and it's been a lot of fun to see. But with the very narrow sort of lake in the middle of this map, we already have the Japanese militia coming out across the map, and the stable's not done yet.
Ooh, this could be bad. You got to get the stable up here if you're Miguel. There's going to be a lot of problems if he doesn't. First game of the day, he is able to get the walls down. Shouldn't lose the Vil if he can click fast enough. But now he needs to quick wall that wood line, and this is what Sato loves to do. This is what he's extremely good at, the early pressure. And you can see how Miguel is still not quite prepared for this. He is going to lose a villager here to the man-at-arm. And then he's still going to wall up the other part of the wood line. So I would say already the man-at-arms have paid off. He did lose his scout there, Sato. But that's the perfect start to a man-at-arm rush.
Yeah, and of course, we're thinking, if we're talking just like regular Arabia, the men-at-arm rush has to get a lot of damage done to justify its high cost. But, you know, this is a map with lots of yummy fish for these Japanese fishing ships to take. So you have more food at your disposal to spend on men-at-arms, which is why we see it so often on this map as the penguins are going to town against Sato's poor villager. The penguins, guys, if you don't know, they are basically just mini wolves that will angrily peck at you until they unfortunately die.
Yeah, and I have had an experience as Miguel quick walls, doesn't save the villager, and he's going to lose another villager. So he loses 3 villagers. Oh, man, I mean, forget about the penguins at this point. Talk about a dream start. I mean, the man-at-arm actually survives to tell a tale. That's crazy. So 3 kills here for Sato. And what I love about Sato as a player in his 1v1s is he always has that well-timed follow-up. He's not moving forward right now, but he's so good. He hits you at one time, and then you're spending all this time trying to deal with it. And by the time you find an answer for that, the next wave is coming in.
Exactly. It's just all about that well-timed execution. Looks like the Spearman will at least see the enemy units coming in as it takes a bunch of arrows to the face. We already have the skirmishers here for Miguel, but he is going to start to fall pretty far behind economically if he's not careful. Yes, the villager count is still pretty comparable, but it's also all about that efficiency. Having that idle time is not really where you want to be in this set. Now, I will say that Miguel is still probably the weakest 1v1 player on Barbatacos right now. So, and Sato might even be the strongest player on these maps, maybe with ACCM. So, This is a map that you would expect MYI to take, but still, Miguel is going to want to look for that upset.
Look at the confidence here. Like, a lot of players would run in towards skirmishers and immediately be worried. But Sato thinks about it and he says, no, as that skirmisher's moonwalking. he's like, no, I have fletching, so I could actually force some fights against you, even in the feudal age here. Now, behind this, Miguel did add a lot of fish. He went 2 docks. He went up to 10 fish. He also has misclicked a transport? Is that happening right now?
Well, there is no deep water on this map whatsoever, so not too sure how effective the transports are going to be. Unless you're using it to ferry archers because the transport ships are tanky, in which case this is just way too high IQ for me as a player.
Yeah, no, I think it was a misclick. I think it was definitely a misclick. And so maybe things will be fine. But the biggest thing right now for Miguel is that he added those fish, because had he not, I think his situation would be looking pretty dire. The res collected is pretty much the same for both. And I'm looking at Sato's eco, and there's a lot of villagers walking around. It's not super efficient either. So certainly possible for Miguel to stabilize this, but it's going to be scouts and it's going to be archers now for Sato. So again, he forces you into one thing. He then switches to the next thing being scouts now against the skirms. And I don't think Miguel has an answer to this right now.
Not very effectively. We have double Bidex just now coming in for our My Insanity player. Of course, you get that for free with Burmese. But it's all going to come down to this aggression. We do have the defensive tower on the way. It is going to protect the gold mine, but you are going to have to abandon one of your wood lines for now. Although, I guess, looking at it, he has the back of his base walled off, so he can sort of wall to the TC and give himself some safer wood there. So it's not the end of the world, but you really just don't want to be having all this idle time early on, especially against someone like Sato.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a good tower. You have to place it, so well played from Miguel to do that. But Sato is going to be happy that he forced that tower. We still have to pay attention to any Navy that may be moving around the sides. In the north, we're going to have fire galleys meet Sato with fires on the way. It just seems like Sato's the aggressor here, and eventually there's going to need to be a good engagement here for Miguel to finally be able to breathe a little bit, Ornlu.
Absolutely. Now, we do have our Barbatacos player dropping the market. His food count is decent. Could be thinking about a Castle Age. Arambai feel like they'd be actually very bad in this matchup because Japanese Cav Archers, with my favorite bonus in the game, getting the extra damage versus Archers, that does include Arambai. So it just feels like the Cav Archers will mow you down, and you're going to have to work around other options here with Burmese in the mid game.
I can understand that Sato feels like he can't do any damage right now, so he's going to try and find it on the water, but it's a bit of a risky place. Like, this is an area where your army may not be as strong if one fire galley shows up. So I don't think this is too bad for Miguel, all things considered. He's done a great job to kill off the archers. But the fires actually come in from Sato, which might have actually been the main reason that he was coming through here in the first place. But pretty close game. Miguel clicks up. Sato hasn't had to use the market. Now is going to, and he'll click up as well to the Castle Age here.
Every time as a caster, it's like, oh, he's not doing something, then he immediately does it, just as you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, he needs fletching. He hasn't clicked yet. Immediately clicks fletching.
I complimented Dow on his Vilwarring skills at the start of the Goths game yesterday, and then he got destroyed. And then I was complimenting Hart on his amazing use of the slightly faster infantry. And then he lost all of his spearmen to man-at-arms in the corner. It was like anything I said, dude.
It is. The caster curse is very real. But, oh, Miguel's going for it anyway. Okay, what's the over and under on Miguel knowing that Arambai with having the archer armor class take bonus damage from Japanese Cav Archers?
He 0% chance. He doesn't know that at all. And I will say this, in defense of Miguel, regardless of what happens, I think that it's not a comfortable position to continue with skirms as Burmese because they lack the second armor and because he lost so many skirms. And I think the game is just not played out as planned. So sometimes you fall behind and you have to think, what's a high risk, high reward option? I would say high risk, high reward could be the castle here.
Yeah, and I think there's always going to be a certain comfort in, okay, what does your Civ do really well? Arambai are one of the best unique units in the game in general, so going for those will give you a route to victory in games that will otherwise be looking really rough.
Oh.
Especially against a Civ that has good archers like Japanese.
This could be bad for Miguel. This could be bad. Sato is moving forward. Sato is going to get his upgrades on his archers. The castle's only at 60%. This castle is not going to go up, Ornlu. This castle's not... he could do the in and out of the TC trick. Maybe.
The Mills are coming to town.
So, actually... Well, it might actually go up here. And he hasn't lost as much as I was expecting him to lose. Now crossbow upgrades in. But it's at 90%. And don't ask me how, but Miguel lost just one villager there.
Well, remember, Dad's playing in the second set today, not the first set.
Yeah, true.
So
that makes sense. That
checks out.
Oh, man. All right, well, Miguel's just thinking calculated. It was all part of his plan. And the castle ended up killing off 5 crossbows. Now, it's the Cav Archers that do the additional damage we're talking about, right? Not the crossbows. Yeah. So, Arambai should be pretty good for now. But the eco is kind of all out of whack here for Miguel. He's got 9 on wood when he probably needs more like 15 on wood. He's just got so much on gold. So this is like... This is a market abuse build at this point. He's got to utilize that to the best of his ability to balance things out.
Yeah, that is really going to be his best bet. We do have various Rombai relevant upgrades coming in, but right now the biggest concern I have for Miguel is just because of that eco inefficiency. He's looking to be, let's say, 1,400 resources behind our My Insanity player with... I mean, yes, the Rombai are still probably the best unit on the field, but the Cav Archers are going to scale so well throughout the game. And even if all these archers go down, they're still looking to get some extra value.
Yeah, and this is nice, right? You get a couple picks with the crossbows that are definitely going to go down anyways. I think Sato will be very happy about that. But I think even without the extra damage bonus we're talking about with Japanese CA, I still think CA, with any civ here, just generic Cav Archers do really well. It's a similar type of unit to the Erenbai. You've got greater accuracy, and you can produce out of multiple buildings instead of just one, which is the castle. So this is, I think this should be a comfortable situation for Sato.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also love the fact that Cav Archers have one extra range on this the Arambai, whereas they match the range of Conquistadors, so that makes it a little bit of a trickier matchup. But yeah, you can just sort of pick away at the Arambai from distance, and of course the faster movement speed is nice as well. And the Cav Archers are coming to town, and the Arambai, as you're saying, T90, just not really able to be produced as quickly as you might like.
It doesn't seem like Sato really thinks this unit is going to be good at all against him, does he? He didn't even try and run, and the GG's called.
You know, I love it. It's like when I tell players in you know, their lower elo games, just don't respect your opponent. If they make the micro move to take a good fight, just go kill them.
Yeah, and that's what Sato did there. I think Sato probably also just knew this was his game. So, I mean, from start to finish, it really was all Sato this game. I think Miguel had a solid game, but it was definitely an example of a player who doesn't play a lot of 1v1s anymore, an older pro, Miguel, up against one of our new age pros who's gotten really solid over the last couple years, who's playing 1v1s all the time. So there was that. Now, the positive for Bobber Tacos and Miguel would be that the two remaining players they have, arguably, their best 1v1 players on the team. So we'll have Dogao or Kingston play the next game, and then if it goes to a third game, the same deal to earn the first point. So still no wins on the board. But yeah, if I'm My Insanity, I'm feeling real good about Sato's performance here.
Yeah, but I think that especially the Burmese pick really sort of indicates to me that we're not really having a high expectancy of Miguel to take the game. Japanese were pick, what is that, 7 for My Insanity? Burmese way at the bottom. So Japanese are a really good civ on that map. I mean, makes sense to play them, but they are also a little bit higher priority. Sato very much wants to get that win, and, well, he does. But as you're saying, Dogao and Kingstone are both really solid 1v1 players, and especially if you can get, like, a Dogao ACCM, Kingstone versus, like, Daniel, I feel like you can still win this as Barbatacos.
Yeah, agreed. Who did My Insanity have play their 1v1s? Was it the same players each time? I imagine Sato. Who else played?
I think so.
Like, did Daniel play the 1v1s, or was it like ACCM?
Well, the thing is,
I guess
it was just Sato and ACCM because they lost all their 1v1s. Because the amazing 1v1 teams of, like, Taiwan were just crushing them.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, they have... Anatov's not going to play the 1v1, so you can kind of use process of elimination there. So,
and Faiga is their other signed up player, but they're not going to play him in the 1v1s either.
Yeah, makes sense. So, all right, well, let's hop into game number 2. I'm at 0 seconds, and I can do the countdown when you're ready.
Go for it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Here we are, game 2 in the 1v1. Still no win on the board yet, but if ACCM wins this for My Insanity, that will mean 1 win to start off this semifinal, and eventually move into those 3v3s. We got Armenians for ACCM, and on this map, which is one of my favorite maps, by the way.
Me too. I was going to say, I love this map, man.
There's so many different things you can do, right? You have some more resources to work with. You start with more vills. Everyone starts with the 3 farmers near the water. And we saw the other day the Armenian player make Spearman in the Dark Age. It's the only civ that can do it. And ACCM is going to do that and try and fish. Kingston has gone, from what I could see, for like a pretty typical opening here. He hasn't gone for the barracks. He hasn't gone for any like type of like shenanigan builds. And he's going to actually walk out to try and bring in an elephant, I believe. So this is a fast feudal attempt against lots of pressure, from what I can see.
Yeah, that is going to be pretty tough. We've seen the team games on this map that usually somebody goes for something pretty degenerate. Early Spearmen from Armenians going for the militia. But remember, guys, Spearmen get their full bonus damage. Even in Dark Ages, we have Little John, the horse, able to block that fishing ship. And those Spearmen, of course, naturally getting bonus damage versus ships.
Yeah, and, these elephants are doing lots of damage against this villager. Kingston's horse has shown up, but he also has to save his eco in the middle right now. So it's very easy something could go wrong here. I wouldn't blame him at all if it were to, but this is his strat. And he is going to get those elephants underneath the TC. And meanwhile, he's trying to save his villagers. But at least one of them is going to go down to the Spearman and Villager Rush.
The Little John horse says, "Turn down for what?" As the villager.
Jeez, dude, that was... I mean, I commend you for it. I do, but I was not expecting that. Oh,
it's not too late, T90. You can suddenly develop a coffin and recall.
Holy dude, that's amazing. Well, here's where my brain's going as I'm trying to, accept that what just happened here. I think it was Wii Sports that did it, where they just said, go ahead and do your little Dark Age rush, delay your feudal age, and we're just gonna chill. I don't know why this villager's out here for Kingston, but we're just gonna chill, bring in our food, and go fast feudal. And on this map, if you can get a feudal age that's 60 seconds faster than your opponent, you can get a fire galley out to control the water and the farms. And you can maybe get some archers out to help against the spears. And with Bengalis, you can lose 2 vills because you're going to gain them right back on the back of a good feudal age time anyway. So I think this could be fine for Kingston.
I hear you, and I mostly agree with you, but the one civ that the early fire galley
Villager,
is not...
Ornlu. Villager, Crocodile. Holy dude. Okay, continue.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, there is the Vill with the lion. Yeah, trying to... Oh, no!
Oh.
There are lots of lions in the savannah.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Kingston is coming out here again.
Oh.
Wow. So, my thinking was, and there's so much happening on this map, it's hard to really get my thoughts out, but my thinking was, you get 2 elephants, that's 2 more elephants than your opponent's ever going to have. For now, anyways. And you should just be happy with that and try and rush feudal. I'm a little surprised that he went out there again, considering there's spearmen and whatnot, and there's a lot to focus on.
Yeah, that is a little bit tricky. But like I was saying, as we have ACCM actually the first player to click up, as he has a huge resources collected lead at this point. If you try and go fast feudal versus Armenians, and they still have 6 spearmen left over, they'll just kill the fire galley.
That's true. That's true. What I would... Now, at this point, I think Kingston's build is just falling apart, and it's all adaptation. He doesn't even have... Or he was delayed with having his building, and it ended up being a mill. Now he's going to need to build a mining camp on golds, or actually stone. That's interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't mind just fast archers on this map though. And I don't know if it's really doable after all the Dark Age shenanigans, and we're very late in the tournament. But I like the idea of the archer range being on the other side of the river. That way, the enemy's fire galleys can't stop your archers from going across the map.
Yeah, we've seen that a fair amount on this map in this tournament. Now, remember, guys, you start with extra wood and stone on this map, again, just to sort of mix things up. So I know you're well-versed in the art of the phosphoru. I'm feeling like this actually could be something that we're seeing from Kingstone here.
Yep, it feels very phosphoru-y, if that's the word, but...
It's a word now.
I think people in chat are going to be excited. There will be some people who are not, right? Not this crap again. And then there's a couple people who will be excited to see it. I mean, it's a low eco approach. You rely on the market. Kingston has had a very bad Dark Age. I don't think that this was initially his plan to lose this many vills. So to have a chance in this game, he needs something wild. And probably will see him sell off some of that stone and try and click up. And in all fairness, behind this, we're going to have ACCM go scouts. So if the stone is walled up, if the berries are walled up, if he can click up and he can get a couple Ratha out early, Ratha are a pretty strong unit against feudal age units, and ACCM's nowhere near castle age.
And it kind of makes sense on this map, because for those who don't know, the trees around your starting TC have 400 wood on them, so it's like 4 tree per tree.
Yeah.
So that wood is going to be safe no matter what. So if you can just drop the castle to protect your gold, and you have your stone here walled up, it's actually going to be really difficult for a feudal age army to do a lot of damage to you.
Yeah, and I think right now, ACCM is recognizing that his opponent is going fast castle because he's used the horse to scout the market blacksmith. So here he comes with his scouts, and here he comes with a tower. See, I like this. This is early recognition that he needs to apply pressure. And the tower will mean that the villagers probably have to leave the berries. I think there's still no way to kill the stone miners, though. That's going to be the concern.
And there's still, with those 4 farms, enough food to get over the hump to get the castle age. And look at this T90. He already has 500 stone in the bank. So even if he is forced off of the stone with like a second tower, he'll have more than enough for a castle at that point. And then you just plop that castle down right between the TC and the gold. And suddenly things are going to start to look pretty ugly here for ACCM, who's still very far away from castle age.
I think at this point, ACCM should just consider his own market. And then try and get up to castle. There's the market now. He's got the elephant food, which he hasn't dropped off yet. He's got villas on gold. He can get up. And then this tower is also amazing because it means these villagers are probably going to have to leave once it goes up. And there's no defense here for Kingston. So Kingston, I think he's going to get enough stone for the castle and then bolt. But he needs to run with all his villas and hope to not lose one here.
Oh, they're making a break for it. Hunt him down, boys.
I'll tell you what, though. The fact he's so close to the TC was so nice for him there. If he was 5 tiles further away, he probably loses villagers there.
Yeah,
So,
no,
all right.
Honestly, it shows great usage of the map right here. It is a ridiculously open map because, you know, the Nile Valley. But I mean, your resources are close enough to the TC to make these sorts of plays happen. Castle Age is going to be here in just a moment. Yeah, you have no gold income right now, but you just plop that castle right to the north of your base, and suddenly, boom, you have gold income, you have wood income, and those are the only things you need with this sort of build. There we go.
Yeah, and ACCM was just looking around like, okay, where is this guy? What's he going to do? But I think we always knew that castle was going to go here. And man, I get like why, you know, some people just don't like new strats. Some people don't like all-in strats. You know, people are in different categories. But I think at the very least you have to appreciate how this is basically something that came to mind for Kingston because of all that phosphor shenanigans, right? And it's not the first time. It's like castle next to wood and gold, unique unit. It gives yourself a chance here, so we'll see. The Ratha have the melee mode, which means they'll act more like a knight. That's probably what we're going to see them used as. And ACCM could lose his forward vills. He could lose his fishing ships in the meantime.
That is going to be pretty rough, but still, on the flip side, means that ACCM's own resources are relatively close to his TC. He's dropping a tower on his forge bushes. You already have enough stone on this map for 2 towers, but the Ratha are charging forward. Ever since they got that change a little while ago, 3 melee armor and 2 pierce armor with no upgrades. It's pretty darn crazy. And that means that these towers and villagers are not going to be doing very well. And whoa, where'd that forward siege workshop come from?
That was my thought as well. I just saw it. It's like Kingston actually snuck a vill. And he's got siege prepared. I mean, that is not something that ACCM is prepared to deal with. He's preparing himself to deal with the Ratha, but he's not preparing himself to deal with the Mangonel. And you know, the Ratha aside, let's not forget that at this point, the 5 eco lost was almost fully recovered due to the Bengali bonus because he got +4 vills just from getting up to the next stage. So, yes, there's better eco for ACCM, more res collected and all of that. But if there's a big surprise here on his gold and he loses 5 or 6 vills and is completely off of gold, I'm not counting Kingston out of this one.
Not at all. And what I always thought was interesting as Kingstone, for Kingstone as a player, is that unlike a lot of the up-and-coming players, like someone like Sito, is what, hold on, the scouts are going to be able to dive bomb that Mangonel danger close.
That was a nice attack round, but
yeah,
I think that if he loses both Mangonels, it won't be good. He's blocking. He's blocking.
Oh, the chariots, man. At least one parting shot going to kill a couple more Vills. But what I was saying was that Kingstone, compared to a lot of the other up-and-coming players, is much more strategic and much less execution-focused. Like, he's a pretty smart guy. And it's interesting to see this sort of adaptation. It's like, he took a really bad situation and is giving himself his best out, which is something I always really respect from players.
Yeah, and if he gets this conversion, this could be massive. He does get the conversion. He'll save the monk, and then he can kill the monk from ACCM with the siege, and the score flips. It's 40 population for both. It's only a 5 eco lead for ACCM, and ACCM's gold is the issue, and his other gold is not very safe either. He's going to try and move to it, but it's right beside his fortified church.
And I mean, Armenians are one of the better civs at dealing with this because the fortified churches are just going to take a long time to go down, and you can see that is exactly what ACCM is trying to rush up. But the issue is that the Mangonels are here, even with the water control nominally from the form of one fire galley. The Vil from Kingstone was able to make it all the way across the map, and that is just such a huge difference maker. You have the Bengali monks that are extra tanky, and this is just such an awkward spot here for ACCM, as that villager is like long distance hammering the Mangonel.
The thing about Kingston that makes him so unique as an individual is that he is really solid on closed maps and likes the closed maps like arena style, but also is a stellar open map player. Like, he could play Arabia with the best of them as well. That's rare. There's only a couple players that come to mind there. Maybe a player like Barles comes to mind, just like the best example of that. But that's kind of what we're seeing here. This is not a map where you'd have expected a siege monk push, but it felt natural for him. And ACCM, he's holding on here, Ornlu, but he needs to find an engagement against this. I think the best way is just to keep trying to find little chip damage. A knight killing a Mangonel when his opponent's not paying attention. Maybe a conversion of his own every now and then. Pretty much the only way you handle this.
Yeah, and of course, without even fletching in, these Ratha are not afraid to just dive under the TC, look for some extra damage. You have to be careful of those monks. They can always hop in and out of the fortified churches. It'd be very annoying that way. But you know what? I mean, these fortified churches are so insane, man. Just able to lock down so much of your eco, and they buy so much time. And that's kind of what ACCM's doing right now, as he is almost with enough stone for his own castle.
Did they fix the bug where if you press go back to work on your fortified churches, monk goes down there for ACCM, they don't go back to work? Because that's annoying if not. Last time I played with them, you still, if you press the go back to work hotkey on a church, it doesn't work. So you have to manually select them, which is when you're being pressured, which is like crazy to have to deal with that. I'm just wondering, I don't know, like, it's been a while since I played with a fortified church, but there also hasn't been a patch in like 6 months, so.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. Yeah, I don't think that was fixed, but I could be mistaken there. But ACCM does drop this castle here, and the composite bowman, I mean, on the one hand, yes, Rathas have a lot of armor and they get to ignore it, but on the other hand, Rathas also have a lot of HP and they have fairly low attack, so it's not like the best unit in the world, but it is still something you can play with defensively. You can use the TC, use the architecture of your base to try and hang on there. But still, we're looking at 18 army to 2.
Yeah, and I think the big issue right now for ACCM is that he doesn't have an answer to the siege. Composite Bowman doesn't give him an answer to the siege. Composite Bowman maybe gives him an answer to these Ratha. So I think the most natural thing for Armenians to do against this is lots of monks. His own monks could convert the monks and convert the siege, but he hasn't had consistent gold income. And that castle doesn't solve that problem for him at all. And this church is going to go down here in a moment, so this is tough, dude. I think maybe his own siege is an option. I see the siege workshop now, but Kingston could simply just convert the siege if he can get redemption. So the options are there for Kingston.
Yep, both of these civs do have excellent monks. You have all the relevant upgrades you need at this point. We also have a dock that's built from Kingstone, and something I wanted to point out is that Kingstone did a good job. He cleaned up all of the towers that were on the other side of the map. So his own eco, I mean, as far as it being a Phosphorus-ish eco, It's pretty good. I mean, it's not full phosphor because he keeps on training villagers,
Yeah.
but I mean, for it being a 1TC all-in build, his eco is not bad, and the vill count is actually even slightly in his favor.
Yep, absolutely. There's a villager still repairing in there as he's waiting to pounce on the villagers that hop out of the church. Love the confidence from Kingston. You could be worried if you're seeing enemy monks that maybe your opponent has redemption and will convert your siege, but it feels like he understands his opponent doesn't have the gold for that, and he saves his mangonel, actually.
Oh.
And then lands a beautiful attack round. And now kills all the villagers underneath the church. ACCM struggling so much here.
I mean, it's hard to blame him. This has been really well executed by Kingstone. And ACCM, I mean, he's sort of hanging in there, but it's still looking pretty rough. With that fortified church down, there's no way he can safely gather gold there, so you don't even need to go after the TC at this point. You can just bop over to the other gold mine. The fortified church isn't even in the best position to protect that. And then you're suddenly forcing your opponent to gather gold nowhere safe.
Yeah, and ACCM's just going to drop another church. I mean, every time I see an ACCM mangonel, it gets mangonel down. Anytime I see a monk, it feels like it's not getting the conversions or it's just soon dying after. He is going to get redemption, though. He had to sell 500 wood for that. But he is going to get redemption. So he might actually be able to stall this. If he gets redemption, maybe he can consistently take gold again. And then maybe there's a chance.
Well, that is what he's looking for. But of course, guys, fortified churches, like TCs, they do not match the range of mangonels. So mangonels will slowly but steadily be able to chip away at them. Redemption is, of course, going to be huge. Gonna try and maybe get some cheeky conversions off, but what always kills me, man, is redemption without sanctity, because the mangonels just need to turn around and slap those rocks on the monks like that.
Yep, that's true. That's, in my opinion, a sign, yet again, that ACCM just doesn't have gold, because he would know that he needs to get both those things. Yeah, Kingston does lose both his mangonels, though, due to the engagement, and so it stalls out the push, and now he goes for atonement just to convert those monks, which feels like the natural play. He is also going to move out to the side to try and take elephants, which honestly, in this type of a game, right? Siege Monk Ratha with constant engagements, which is another really good engagement for Kingston. I wouldn't be moving out for elephants because I'd be losing villagers there, right? Like, or I'd be losing my fight. But crazy confidence, I guess. He feels like he can do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kingstone's a little bit better than you and a lot better than me. Yeah, this has just been really smart play from Kingstone. I love the TC over here on the second wood line, as the wood around his TC is going to start to be depleted. These trees, guys, again, they have more wood on them than the average tree, so you don't need to go too far as the game goes on to find all of these sources of wood, and this is just going to make the eco of Kingstone so much better. Yes, he has a lot of idle TC time, but his vill count is looking really nice.
It's also crazy. The res collected difference is still so in favor of ACCM. That's wild to me. It could have something to do with eco upgrades. Like, I know ACCM, he was the first one who told me that on feudal age builds, you should always get the gold mining upgrade with the mule carts, even if you're not really, like, even if you're not heavy on gold. He's like, it's that good with Armenians, you should always get it, blah, blah, blah. So maybe that's part of it, but yeah, eventually you've got to think with Kingston going to 3 TCs now that he is going to be ahead in resources collected. He just has so many more workers now.
Yeah, and it's just such great usage of these Rathas, putting them in range mode when he needs to get a little bit of a vill kill here and there, and of course going back into the melee mode for the big engagements. I mean, this unit is so insane, and I feel like if it was easier to use, it would probably be overpowered.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very clunky to use. If there was like go range mode hotkey or go melee mode hotkey, all that stuff, it would be a game changer. And I also think, I mean, their eco, the Civ's eco is great, right? Like the extra villagers is great. So that's why, you know, the actual phosphor strategy, part of why it's so good is that fast castle just feels really smooth for, you know, with this Civ's economy. Now we got a counterattack, maybe, from the caped archers, the composite bowmen, running across the map. We do have to pay attention to that right now.
Yes, we do, and I like that he used the fire galley to sort of help screen those archers as they're going across the map. The Rathas, remember, do a little bit of trample damage, but that is still not going to be anywhere near enough for all of those composite bowmen with Bodkin Arrow. And the lack of range could be a little bit of an issue for these guys, as the TCs are quite well placed, of course. But well, this is a bit of an opportunity for ACCM to finally get out across the map again, which is not something he's been able to do for like 20 minutes.
This is what I was talking about with ACCM. Like, obviously, this is a 1v1. But this dude just doesn't give up. And I think he's such a good addition for My Insanity as a team. Imagine a 3v3 where things are not going great. ACCM's going to find a way. Also, 4 villagers just died on the stone for Kingston there. Ooh. And one of them, at least, got stuck on the stone with the whole, you tell a unit to garrison and they get stuck on the corner thing. Yep. So I think it might have been multiple there, and that hurts Kingston. And ACCM still kicking. He converts the siege. What a crazy game here, Ornlu.
I'm all for this. I mean, legend says that ACCM has quite good fighting spirit, and he is showing that off right here. Mangonel's still in a beautiful position on the high ground. Really high-level game here.
Yeah, I'm freaking out because ACCM is checking the elephants, and there's not a TC over there. Now, he might see some of these palisade walls from before and think, well, okay, he's not out here anymore, and head back over. But if he were to look there, that's 7 villagers to kill, but he's not going to see them.
Oh, that does hurt a little bit. The Scorpions here gets a decent shot off. Composite bowmen do take a lot of damage. Even the fire galleys are in good position. Look at this T90.
Wow, that's crazy.
You love to see it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I oftentimes forget that you can kind of bring the ships in there.
Yeah.
So 75 eco
Turns
versus
out the Nile
73.
is a river, and ships can go on the water.
The ACCM has been in denial that he's losing this game right now. He doesn't want to give up on this game, man. I mean, the population's actually really close, but the KD has not been favorable. So I think that's what is happening with the score. But one Mangonel deleted, another Mangonel converted there, and Kingston's push stalls out.
It does. These fortified churches have been so important here for ACCM to lock down this gold, at least as best he can. The Mangonels obviously cannot garrison into the fortified church, so they'll be slapped down by those Ratha swords. And things are looking really messy here for ACCM. But you know what? He is surviving, and that is not something most players would be able to do after this pressure from Kingstone. And he's going to be looking here for castle number 2 in just a moment.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if the composite bowmen are actually good against the Ratha. And these Ratha just got fletching, and the Ratha seem to be destroying. So now this becomes a more normal game, I'd say, for Kingston. You don't need to push anymore with the siege. There's far too much resistance. Just make Ratha, maybe snag ballistics like any other range unit, and boom.
And we even have a couple of warrior priests being made by ACCM. Don't think that's going to be very good versus the Ratha, but they still can run around and pick up some relics. You do have at least a few of them that are available to you here as Armenians. This map does have a lot of gold and stone on it, so there's still plenty of that left. We don't really need to worry about gold running out anytime soon.
Yeah.
Still, just any little bit of your eco that you can improve, the better.
I think the best unit, the unit to rely on in Castle Age for the Armenians here would have been monks. And it was so tough for ACCM to really get a lot of monks out. And now it's reached a point in the game where monks don't help you against so much economy. He's probably thinking, what do I even have with this Civ, right? And the answer would be composite bowmen, but they are not solving any problems he has. And Kingston is just in cruise control. 107 vills. You can tell the switch has happened where he's no longer focusing on the all-in push, and he's focusing on his eco again. And it gets worse for ACCM too. When Kingston makes it to Imp, he gets the villager boost from each TC too.
Yeah, and then suddenly that, Vill lead is just added another 10 or so to that. And this is honestly, guys, what makes these higher level pros just so much better than even a player like Phosphorus or Huang, is that you go for the pressure, you really, really lay it on your opponent, but then you just know how to transition out of it. You know how to take that next step in getting that ultimate victory. You're not just sort of running your head into a brick wall at some point. I mean, this has just been really, really smart play from Kingstone.
Yeah, spot on. And he did such a good job producing eco throughout the push as well, right? Whereas you know, the all-in, like Huang Phosphor. Obviously, they do a better job now than they ever have as well, you know, to give them credit. But they're not doing it in the same way. And they're not going to get to a position with 120 villagers imping on 4 or 5 TCs like Kingston is right now. It's so well played. I thought he was dead, dude. It was just a horrible start. It looked like it couldn't have gotten any worse. And this strategy and his execution has just completely turned the game around.
Yeah, and I would be interested to know if the plan all along was the Phosphor, because Bengalis are kind of a weird pick on this map anyway.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was probably an adaptation. I'm not too sure. Oh my goodness, those composite bowmen were all lined up right there for the Scorpions, which have been getting excellent value here from our blue player. And Bodkin coming in with Imp on the way. This is going to be looking really rough for ACCM.
I think gold is the one resource that Kingston doesn't really have a lot of right now. So that is the one downside, I'd say, is he needs to saturate his gold a little bit more. But I don't even think he needs to go for much of a gold unit. He could go Skirmisher and Lightcav and just use that to control the map. He will need Trebuchets, though, because there's 3 castles for ACCM.
Yeah, and of course, you do need to push uphill to cross the river on this map, just make it a little bit more defendable. Now, we have docks coming in for ACCM T90, and if there's any civ that can just stall things out on water, it probably is Armenians.
Honestly, like, if he... In order to treb down these castles, Kingston needs to cross the river or be sitting on the river. And Navy is way stronger than Ratha. Kingston may not expect this. I think it's unlikely just because of how bad the eco is for you know, ACCM. But I do think that this is his best way back into the game.
And again, it takes a lot of smart decision making to understand that, okay, there's not a super high chance that you're going to win this game, but what gives you that best shot? And we have Cilician fleet coming in, and I still stand by the fact that heavy demos in general are overpowered, and Armenian heavy demos as well. It's just going to be so tough to stop.
Kingston's going to see the docks with his own demo. So he knows now, and I think what you can do, if you can go for your own galleon here, if you're Bengalis, your ships still regenerate, which a lot of people forget about. And that could be utilized with cannon galleons in the middle. Now, do Bengalis get elite cannon galleon, Ornlu?
Yes.
Okay.
And siege engineers.
And siege engineers. Thank you. I knew you would know that after you mentioned it in Arctic Circle. So he could actually convert the docks here. Oh god, the trebs go down to the demos.
Oh, heavy demo coming in too, and that skirmisher blob is going to get blown up. And suddenly T90, I mean, yes, the population is insane right now for Kingstone, but I mean, ACCM doesn't feel dead right now.
No, he doesn't. He has enough resources to work with. His tech could arguably be better. And Kingston is still being a little... I don't know about stubborn. I think bold is the word with some of his units out here on the water. Because once he sees heavy demos in, you've got to avoid the middle with skirmishers.
Yeah. Oh, the poor monk is getting exploded. There's still plenty of gold over here in the western portion of the map. And honestly, you could even try and like sneak transport some units over from the water part of the river. And if you can find a way to just make this water irrelevant, start building up near the pyramids, that I think could honestly be a really smart move here for Kingstone to make sure that there is no way back into this game for ACCM.
Yeah, I love what Kingston's doing. He's checking the west with the Ratha. Now, he may lose them, but you can tell now that that's on his mind. How is ACCM getting gold? And then he's just choosing to keep an eye on these docks, even try and convert the docks and treb them down. And I think this was the best play back for ACCM, but he's not going to have docks anymore. And it's still 200 population for Kingston with a crazy economy.
Yeah, and of course you can pick up Mahayana as Bengalis. Go give yourself another 16-ish population with the villagers being discounted in population. I love the castles there to help protect the trebuchets. Worth noting, though, is that Bengalis themselves do not have heavy demo ships. It's the only thing they lack at the dock. So that is not going to be an option here for Kingstone as the game goes on. And indeed, there is Mahayana coming in.
Yep, good tech. It's really good tech. So now you've just got this crazy eco, and you have more pop space to work with than your opponent does. And if it's not Navy for Armenians, I don't know what it is in this particular matchup, right? I think they do have good matchups, actually, on land. There's not many. I think they really need something else on land. Like, Siege Ram would be a good addition for the Civ,
I was
going to
say, I'd love Siege Ram for this.
Yeah, it's like the most natural thing ever. I'd be shocked if the devs don't do it at some point. But, you know, they don't have many great matchups on land in the later stages. It's usually just water. At Kingston's got the regenerating fire ships on the field. There will probably be some big demo hits, but he's been able to get to the other side now with his trebs to take down these castles finally. Losing some ships, loses the trebs. He has no protection for the trebs, and ACCM still refuses to die.
Oh my goodness, the trebs are forced back or destroyed. Ratha here still doing a little bit of fighting. I'd still just love seeing some bills transported over. Just try and nullify the water here, because this is playing right into every single strength of Armenians and ACCM at this stage in the game, of just being able to hold and being able to stall. And I feel like just the best way to avoid that is just don't let your opponent do what they want.
I think what he needed in his mind, like 2 minutes ago, is just Galleon, right? And he's clicked Galleon now. He's like, okay, fine. He's just going to demo me. Demos are exciting, and it can get some really good value, but you just have to remember that they die, and you can't use them again, right? So a lot of times, demos might not pay for themselves. Like, here's an example of that. So it usually evens out. Galleons, on the other hand, can consistently be used, and then you can just have your trebs in the middle. I think that another player on My Insanity might have resigned a long time ago. But ACCM...
Is there a certain player you're thinking of right now, Tina?
No. I'm not naming names. Maybe even all of them on My Insanity might have resigned by now. But ACCM is just ACCM. And he's going to fight on a little while longer before he's ultimately killed.
Yeah, honestly, though, this has been some really great resilience here from ACCM. The trebs are continuing to push forward. I love the fact that Kingstone, he is not shirking on his treb duties. He has 7 of them on the field. No way to protect the castle at that point. That would require a good 70 villagers repairing it, and there isn't enough surface area on the castle to even do that.
So the ACCM score rule is 5k. That's I think, the rule that Mem came up with, that he will not resign unless there's a score difference of 5k. I'd be shocked even if with ACCM it gets to that point. That's another 2,000 score he needs to lose. There's no way that he should still be in this game soon, right? Like, he's losing everything right now.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like he has much of a route here. He's got some elite composite bowmen, but that's his only military unit that's not a ship. And those are, of course, needing to be produced from castles, and all these castles are just being popped as the beautiful flaming Trevorroks are just nuking them from distance.
Yeah, he's going to hope for some big demo hits here, ACCM. The score still continues to grow for Kingston. More upgrades coming in. Castle drop now. ACCM still thinks he could do it until this moment, and he taps out. And what a great game from Kingston. I thought he was completely toast. And now, scores 1-1 for these teams in their 1v1s. It will be Dogal for Barbatakos up against either, I guess, Daniel or Anatov, most likely. So most likely Daniel in the next 1v1 to decide the first win in this semifinal. And then we have potentially 6 3v3s. So this is all about the content here. This would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. And to be fair, it's hard to argue against a long day when the games are this good.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I really enjoyed our first couple games. I'm looking forward to the next one. And looks like we have received the wreck.
Here we are. And this win is a big one. This game decides who gets that 1 point before we move into those 3v3s. We got Dogal who's been around a long time. His game has not changed in many years, but it doesn't need to, right? He's just one of those classic Age of Empires 2 pros. Great macro, great micro, super solid. He's playing as the Celts here on Fugo Mara. And then we have Daniel. Daniel is definitely known as more the aggressor. I would expect lots of timing attacks from Daniel. And with him, I mean, he's not spending as much time on the game anymore. There was a period where he was playing all the time. He's working full-time, all that good stuff, as many players are. But I love the guy, dude. It's my American bias, most certainly. You know, I get to know him more and more. But I love watching Danny Boy play, as everyone calls him. So I think if he has a weakness, though, it might be players that have that tendency to just hold on against that crazy pressure. And Dogal's one of those, so it should be fun.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we got the double American caster right now. Full red, white, and blue here. We have 3 players in this game. Red player, blue player, and white from Gaia. If
red, white, and blue,
America,
baby!
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we got to be careful here, because if the Age of Empires gods have taught me anything, it's that if we pump up Daniel too much, it's going to be a disastrous game for him. So, but like, what do you think about the Celts choice as players are trying to bring in the elephants from the middle? I quite like it, actually. I think it's one of the rare maps for 1v1s where I think they might be pretty top.
Yeah, I don't really see any issues with Celts here. It is I mean, the map is quite open, but still, controlling the middle is going to be essential. That's where a lot of this extra stone is. There is the hunt that these players are taking. As far as like gimmicks go in the map, guys, it's really, you just start with the Camel Scout. That's really it. Other than that, it's just a pretty normal looking open map. Gold is on the outside. There are some cliffs as well. And of course, the wood is in this sort of happy little ring in the middle.
And, you know, matchup's also fascinating, too, because I think that the Inca player against most civs these days would want to go for Spearman Skirm opening. We're seeing a lot of that right now. But I think going Spearman Skirm could be a little bit questionable against the potential of the speedy Celt Man-at-Arms. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. I think there's so much value in trying Man-at-Arms here. Yes, everyone's so good at walling up these days. A lot of pros think Man-at-Arms aren't great. But look what happened earlier in the day with Sato against Miguel. If they get in, they can ruin you. And on this map, where all the wood is forward and it's on hills, I think you've got to try it.
I would love to see it. And even, like, just making Men-at-Arms... I know longswords are a meme, but... From all my experience in my 1800 ELO games, Celt Longswordsman with a bunch of siege units behind it can be really good, especially if you can sort of restrict the mobility on the map. And against a civ like Incas, who aren't going to be running around you with cavalry, it's honestly not bad. And I think might even serve you better in the mid-game than mediocre knights or crossbowmen versus a civ that have such strong and efficient units.
Dogawa's been struggling here to bring in this elephant. Now, he is snagging Loom. He will be up later, but he will most likely click up here. But his Dark Age has not had the best of timings. And Daniel was honestly really close to even denying that. But this is what you think about with Daniel. Like, he's going to have that military ready to go. This is a 19 pop click up when they have 2 scouts. That's 17 villagers. This is a crazy tight build order. So it's not necessarily Dogal being late. And Daniel now sees a villager on the wood line that's a little weak from bringing in the boar before.
Oh.
And is going to kill that Vil. And I guess Dogal does the next best thing for him. And he's just going to wall in the Camel Scout.
Yeah, but you still have your Eagle Scout left over, so you still have that way of blocking units if they're trying to flee to the town center. So already very nice little opening here for Daniel. Camel Scout is just going to slowly thwack away at that house. But yeah, another Vil coming in to repair. You have Bidax on the way for our blue player, and this is just looking like a really nice, tight little build.
Yeah, and for those that missed it, because there's people confused right now. First off, well done being so observant. Second, Ornlu said it 2 minutes ago. They start with a Camel Scout on this map, so so it's just a feature of the map. Everyone starts with a Camel Scout as well as their normal Scout. And Daniel will go for the mixture of Spearman, Skirm, and it looks like he's actually going to go Archers. But I like the start for Daniel. Just kind of a funny thing about Daniel. He's not like this as much these days. He's chilled out a little bit more relaxed, which I think helps his gameplay. But, you know, there was a time, I think it was like 2020? Yeah, 2020 I played with him the first time. And, any, like, small moment, like, he's such an extreme individual in terms of how he would describe it. So, like, right there, he would get the Vil kill, and he'd just be like, oh, it's GG. He lost the Vil at 6 minutes. It's game over. I just won, you know? Yep. That was, like, how Daniel would think. You know, these days, I think he understands, you know, maybe the game isn't necessarily over at 6 minutes if a villager goes down, but, yeah, someone just said it. Daniel is kind of like Twitch chat.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great.
Oh, that is great. It's like the old T90, man. I miss the salty T90, the Hun War grinding T90.
I wasn't salty. Get out of here. I mean, I could still get tilted every now and then. I rant to myself, you know? So there was a pause. I guess there was some lag there. Camel Scout eventually went down. Dogao then had to delete his house, which is kind of awkward. And this is what I would have expected from Daniel. From Dogao, rather, is the cool, calm approach, make army at home, and you just wall up and play defense. This is what he's good at. And the Celts are good at that as well with the great wood economy. So Daniel, the follow-up army didn't really accomplish too much for him. And he's going to hightail it back home.
That's true, at least in the immediate, but resources collected still better here for Daniel. And I am a fan of that. He's got his own decent, defensive setup at home. Yeah, the Scout, Cavalry, and Camel running in, but oh, nice timing there with those archers popping out. Gonna take down that Camel Scout, which of course has no base Pierce armor. And yeah, looks like, honestly, the game shall march on for both players.
Still goats underneath the TC, 7 farms. Tons of Vils in queue as well for Daniel. So if you're looking at his resources, keep that in mind. He's got 6 villagers in queue, so he's really in a healthy spot. And also, the Eagles are cheaper. The Spearmen are cheaper. Archers don't have a discount, but you could argue in many ways the Incas are still one of the best archer civs bonus-wise because they don't need as many houses. Their houses give them that extra pop space, which allows them to save so much more wood. And Daniel's going to playing it for Castle Age here, or they're dropping the market right now.
Yeah, and I guess the question would be, okay, so you're looking to get to Castle Age here as Incas. You have a lot of different things you can do. Is this the time to go Triple Barracks Eagle Warriors? Again, it feels like Celts are one of the better civs at dealing with that.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of like Celts here, right? It's like they have good wood eco to make skirmishers against archers. They have the great siege against archers. And then they also have speedy longswords, which I would say the biggest issue with longsword against eagle defense is the speed. Yep. So it's not even the cost, it's just the speed. So yeah, I like Celts here. I do, but I love Daniel's position and his decision as well to not really deal immediately with this little skirm archer army. He waited for more eagles to deal with that. And this army is going to try and sneak where Dogao is walling, and Dogao will not be able to wall all of this with one villager before this army arrives.
Yep. And just very calm reaction here for Daniel. Love to see that from him. And, oh, there's the second barracks coming in. Yep. So, looks like it will be for the Eagle Warrior play. I mean, Dogao selling his stone. He is so far away from Castle Age, even so. He's trying to get these walls down, but there are already some units nearby. Looks like the Vil is going to be safe for the time being, as we have this random collection of pyramids at the edge of the map.
Yeah, right?
Because why not?
I honestly, that's...
Well, technically, the Fugamara is in Sudan, and these are the sorts of pyramids you'd find in Sudan, so...
Okay, I like that.
That actually is real attention to detail.
Well, I think Daniel could get himself trapped here. I don't think he can actually go that way. He does have eagles with armor, so maybe his army will be superior, but not able to get back home, at least. And hold on, Dogao doesn't know that the wood lines are like that, so he's trying to cut him off, but in actuality, Daniel has gone right back towards his wall. That's crazy.
And the wall will be up in time. No low HP palisades that can get knocked down immediately. I mean, you still have to be careful, right? That's a lot of armies, and this is cracked terrain.
Yep.
So buildings going to be taking that extra 20% damage. And things
That's huge.
could be getting really awkward here.
Yeah, because you get the 7 base attack on the Eagles right when you hit Castle Age. So that helps you shred the Palisade. Then the fact that these walls are on cracked terrain helps even more. That stable is just like a panic move there from Dogao, but he actually gets the job done. And Eagles on Eagles on Eagles is the plan for Daniel. I say that it's only 2 barracks. I personally think you always want to have the 3rd, but a lot of pros these days will go 2 with a monastery instead.
Or a siege workshop in this case. But I have to ask you, T90, is a stable that's built on cracked terrain unstable?
It has to be unstable. it has to be. I like it. Well, he deleted it. His stable's going to be stable now. But look at what Daniel is able to kill off here. Like, this engagement is all because he was able to keep that army alive before he clicked up. He will kill everything here with these Eagles. He only has 1 armor upgrade, and that is so valuable before the siege comes in on the front.
Yeah, that is just so nice to clean up all those units. Now, on the one hand, the skirmishers weren't going to do a whole lot anyway at this point, because skirms versus Eagles, not that great. I love the arson upgrade coming in here for Daniel. The mangonel here, too. I mean, this is such a nice, aggressive setup. But look at this, T90. We have 9 vills on stone for Dogao, and I stand by the fact that after those buffs, Woad Raiders are actually one of the best units in the game right now. It's just the only downside is that they're attached to Celts.
I think they're a great unit. I agree with you. I think they're a great unit. I think this is also something that a lot of players are stubborn with and they don't try, right? And what happens is we then have a situation where Daniel is not going to expect that to even be on the cards. It's not in his brain right now. He thinks, I've got him where I want him. But do you actually, Daniel? If this castle goes up and Woad Raiders come out, they're extremely fast. They have high attack. They are like the best unit that he could make against the Eagle Warrior. And Daniel doesn't really have anything else right now.
Remember when Road Raiders only had 8 attack in Castle Age?
Yeah.
And they were awful.
Is it 11? It's what, 11, right? Yeah, so 11
now.
And I get what you're saying. You know, if Woad Raiders were attached to another Civ, you know, because Celts lack bonuses or whatever, that maybe they'd be better. But I actually think it's a perfect unit to be attached to Celts because it complements their eco so nicely. That Wood eco is still one of my favorite eco bonuses in the game. It's super smooth. And I guess that's also the issue for Dogao right now. He can't actually take that much wood, but there's the first woad, and Daniel now knows what the situation is.
No, I only said that it's if they were attached to Celts, everyone would be complaining about them. It's just because we don't see Celts all that often.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, I think they're great for Celts, and it's a great unit to have with the Civ. It gives you that speedy option that isn't a cavalry unit. 1.38 movement speed, quite respectable. And, I mean, Eagles are going to do so poorly against these Woad Raiders. They still have their, 2 bonus Eagle Warrior damage? Yeah, and that is quite solid.
And what you're hoping for is a couple conversions with your monks. But look how fast the Woad Raiders can close in. Conversion does happen, but you don't want to lose the monk there. And now there's another monk, and Daniel's going to try and quick wall to save it because he miscalculated. And I'm really liking Dogao's position all of a sudden. He will take out the Mangonel as well with that Woad Raider. And Daniel's got to be like, what in the world is this crap? I'm up against Woad Raiders? Like,
I mean, it is pretty good. They're just zooming around all over the place. They're faster than the Eagle Warriors. Yes, we do have Slingers out, and Slingers are absolutely ridiculous as a unit. So much bonus damage against infantry, 10, the same as a hand cannoneer. But, well, run away from the Slingers.
Well, so here's a hot take, Ornlu, and I think this will be an unpopular one for viewers.
Oh.
I think Slingers are overrated. They're good, right? They're great, but they're only great against one thing, which is infantry. And they're super slow, right? So, like, obviously, Woad Raiders are mobile, but still, with other forms of infantry, you could still outrun the Slinger. You could still get away from them. Dogao has big problems on his gold right now, as he wasn't able to wall that up, and Daniel finds a lot of kills on the gold miners. Holy.
I think, honestly, a lot of the reason people are so afraid of slingers is that they're just not used to playing infantry. So you go against Eagle Warriors, you're like, well, I need to make swordsmen, and then the Inca player makes like 2 slingers, and then suddenly, what do I do?
Yeah, I agree. But you know, you do still need upgrades for the slingers too, right? It's not like they like have all their range without blacksmith upgrades. So it's kind of tough right now, but if you get like 10 of them, it probably forces the Celt player into siege. And what a great job from Daniel to get these raids in on Dogal. Dogal has not had the Woad Raiders yet to deal with it. But at the same time, has Daniel dealt with the Woad Raiders at all? There's 17 of them on the map. So eventually you're going to have to face the music. You're going to have to deal with these Woad Raiders if you're Daniel. And I guess Slinger is your only option then.
You're going to have to face the bagpipe music because that's going to be pretty rough to deal with.
Dude, I'd be down. If I had a button on my stream deck right now to play some bagpipes, I would totally do it.
It would be very appropriate in this situation. There have been 8 villagers killed in this game for Daniel. He is ahead in vills. He's ahead in resources collected. He has his 3rd TC on the way, whereas Dogao only has his 2nd. But, I mean, army quality is looking really nice for a red player. I love that he only has just a few votes that he partitions off to deal with the rest of the Eagles. He's ready to go back out across the map.
Yeah, so it's got to be, like, double range Slinger production now. And so what I'm thinking would be the natural move for Dogao, once he realizes there's no more Eagles, is a siege workshop in the middle. And so then it's like Mangonel and Woads, and 1 Mangonel shot on the Slingers could be devastating. Man, well played to Daniel to still find more Vill kills and still be a nerd with his Eagle. That's actually insane.
Yeah, just ways to find damage and get it done, even with units that are on death's door. Really great to see. We have ballistics coming in, we have bodkin coming in, so the Slinger upgrades are on the way. They will do what they need to do versus the Woads. They do shred them, but you're going to need to expand out of your base relatively soon. We have this TC over here to the east that could be perhaps a little bit more exposed. I don't think there's a hole there, but Woads, well, they live up to their name. They are good at raiding.
Yeah, they're going to be in. I think you need a stonewall here if you're Daniel as well, and he noticed that. Hard to notice in the... Oh, he got the stonewall, but no house!
No!
Yikes. Oh, man, and these Slingers are so freaking slow, but they have ballistics and they have bodkin now. So actually, considering how expensive Woad Raiders are and how tough it is to get to, this might actually work out for Daniel. He'll lose some Vills, which is not great, but it's not the worst trade ever if he can kill the whole army from Dogao as well. Get some house walls down. Beautiful quick walling here. Funnels them in towards the town centers. And most of the Woad Raiders go down. So Dogao pays a heavy price.
It's interesting because on the one hand, that felt necessary for Dogao to help even up the economy, as Daniel is just getting really, really far ahead in res collected, so Dogao needs to catch up as best he can.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Dogao hasn't been mining any stone after the first castle, so his Woad Raider production will still be limited to just the 1 castle for quite some time now.
Yeah, and his siege needed to be there right now, right? And his siege is being produced from home. He's kind of shifting it around just to defend from some Slingers that could move forward. So, yeah, I think things are looking pretty good for Daniel. And it gets exciting for me now because I am in love with the Kamiyuk as well. And I see a castle for Daniel. Now, this is probably just to protect the Golden Stone. But could you tell me how you feel about Kamiyuks against Woad Raiders?
Oh... On the one hand, I generally trust Kamiyuks in mass versus anything that deals melee damage.
Yep.
And that's probably still the case now, but they will be lacking in mobility compared to Woad Raiders.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be one of those cases where in the head-on fight, the Kamiyuks will probably be doing just fine, but the Woads should never let them take that engagement.
Yeah, Daniel won't really be able to kill much economy with these Slingers. It's more of a killing infantry unit. So they should still be able to pick off villagers if there's no defense. But Daniel, I think, realizing the Woad Raiders are probably headed back towards his base. Gold is actually an interesting talking point on this map. It's all spread around the sides. And the corners is where you have the most of it. So Daniel seems to recognize that. But players will need to move to the middle for general map control and stone. But to the gold for the sides, which, again, could favor mobility.
It will indeed, and we've seen this map played out in 1v1s quite a bit. It seems to be pretty popular for a 1v1 selection, and it oftentimes in the late game does come down to this dynamic where you have the TCs on the gold on the outside, but that can be getting raided. Map control in the middle is still really important because of the big hill and the stone access. So being able to spread out effectively is super important, and that I will have to still favor Celts on because the Woad Raiders are so speedy.
Yeah, I gotta say, though, Daniel's, it's like anytime the Woad Raiders show up, he's getting value. He's getting kills. He's snagging conversions there. He's played it really nicely economically. And this is something that Daniel didn't have in his locker a couple years ago. I mean, and maybe that's even unfair, right? But I think Daniel has this slightly undeserved reputation for being a player who either kills you fast or resigns early, right? And as these Woads are going to get trapped in here, Daniel's showing, like, he could do it all too. He could play that macro game, which we maybe would have associated with more with Dogal. And he will be up to Imp soon. Do you stay on Slingers in Imp? Do you switch into something else here? What are your thoughts?
I still think you need the Slingers as a transition unit, so I wouldn't stop producing them yet. If you want to go Camiox more in the late game, I think that is fine, and indeed Castle number 2 is going to be on the way in a very nice location at the front of Daniel's base. He is around with a 25% villager advantage. Eco upgrades a little bit better, though, for Dogao. Imp timing going to be better for our My Insanity player, and the Slingers, at the very least, should be sort of his bridge unit.
Could see Slinger Treb just working at the start of Imp. Like, if you get the 4 Trebs with these Slingers before Dogal's prepared, maybe then you've got a chance. But again, now we finally arrived to a situation where Dogal actually has 2 Mangonels combined with his Woads, which he hasn't had all of Castle Age. And, I mean, Daniel's going to be under pressure. He is being very casual with his Castle. Castle could be denied, and then maybe the panic starts to set in.
Oh, okay. Thinks better of it. Doesn't want to commit underneath that castle. Mangonels are going to be here to help protect. I love the stone walls. I always love stone walls, to be fair. But in this case, I think they're actually important, as Woad Raiders are so good at knocking down random buildings. Imp is actually on the way for Dogao, so nice job to make sure he at least has a competitive Imp timing. And it's going to be around 40 seconds behind, but because the castles aren't right next to each other, I don't think that should be a big issue.
Wood is an issue for Daniel right now. He's got 6 on wood. He's placing lumber camps near his castle, but I mean, that's still vulnerable against these Woads. And listen, I think the game is just twice as easy to play right now for Dogal. Woad Raiders are just so easy to use compared to Slingers. And Daniel, I think, thinking through his options on what he can make beyond the Slingers, and he's decided, at least currently, on Camiox. But any Vil lead that Daniel had is slowly disappearing because of the raids. And Dogal seems like he is in a comfort zone that Daniel is not anywhere close to right now.
I have to ask, though, the Slinger Treb Onager army composition is like the full rock army composition.
Oh, true!
Let's kill you with rocks. So I kind of want to see it just to see just this barrage of rocks.
Yeah! That's funny.
There's the little kid in me that just wants to see that, man.
Dude, and you know there's like some low elo legend out there named like Rock Boy or something, and he's just if there isn't, someone needs to be inspired by that and go for the full rock composition and submit it, please. That'd be so good.
There you go.
Well, redemption now for Daniel, so he can convert the siege. He can snag block printing as well to have more range. You could tell the efficiency for Dogal's economy has been so good. He hasn't been idled. We haven't looked at his base at all, which is always a great sign. And he's collected more res than Daniel. 2 relics for both. And this has been a special game. Just like one of many very special games. Unique Civ matchups in the 1v1s in this tournament.
Well, I gotta say, I don't think these 1v1s have been a waste of time, man. I think they've been a lot of fun.
They've been really good. I think also what has made it interesting is players do have to save a lot of civilizations for team games as well. So we've seen some unique matchups. We see a big raid for Dogal. And that TC will be... Oh, he misclicked it. He actually clicked the TC.
The Mangonels are coming, T90. That TC's going to go down fast no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's just going to eat the monk, eat the TC. No gold there for Daniel then. And Daniel's still just looking for answers for these Woad Raiders.
And he is going to struggle because now Elite Woad Raider is going to be in, guys. They're going to be looking at 85 HP, 14 attack. Same attack as a Paladin, guys, and they're only a little bit slower.
And this is where...
That's not easy to deal with.
Sorry to jump in front of you there, but like this is where... This kind of why we discussed the Slinger, right? The Slingers looked really good in one fight. And then the Woad Raiders have just continued to be produced anyways and have been able to outmaneuver. And now Slingers just seem helpless. Now, I would love to see Elite Cameo complete. And if that completes, I do think in a straight-up engagement, that extra range should make things very interesting. But in terms of the pure stats, like the attack and the HP, it should be Woad Raider that's superior.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially without that elite upgrade, just so much attack, literally double the attack these Woad Raiders have versus the Kamyuks at this point. Now, the Kamyuks are going to be trying to poke down those mangonels and will be sort of, but not successful enough.
Yeah, but, you know, the nice thing about Slingers is they are so good, you don't need many of them in the group with the Kamyuks to change a fight. So that's really nice. I also, just some small things here. Daniel had sent some few random eagles into Dogal's base. Just finally trying to give Dogal some problems with some raids. But, he did get Bracer. He is getting chemistry now. And Daniel will place the TC on the left again, trying to get that gold. So yeah, both players thinking about the gold. Dogal on the left, now building a castle there that will likely complete. But that is what this game has become now, trying to get all that gold.
Yeah, I love the fact that Dogal really emphasized getting that castle in the middle of the map, sort of take the middle away from your opponent, and then force them to work more around at the edges where they still don't have that mobility you're looking for, and it's going to be so much easier for Dogal to take good engagements and find holes in his opponent's defense.
Daniel needs upgrades in his Kamyuks, and I think there's an argument to be made that you actually want to prioritize the attack, because that's the benefit of the unit, is that they're always hitting with their shots due to the extra range. You also could argue for the armor, because it helps your villagers against these elite Woad Raiders. But I mean, Dogal, he's got a lot of Woad Raiders on the map. They're just not in the middle right now. We got a bunch on the left. We got a bunch on the right. He's going to come to the middle, though, because Daniel's got 3 trebuchets hoping to hit that castle.
And Dogal looking really strong here. The populations are dead, even if it's certainly not with Daniel being dead right now, but it's just the way that Daniel was really ahead early on. Oh, I love the trebs all being grouped together in groups of 3. No trickle trebbing, as I know you are a big fan of.
I mean, I'm loving the raid potential. Yeah. It's such a problem for Daniel. Daniel pushing the middle is the right play, because if he tries to switch to the sides, he will lose that battle 9 times out of 10. So this is his moment. He has to win this fight. He has to take down this castle, because the left of Zico's getting hit. There are a lot of slingers behind. There are Kamyuks as the meat shield in front. The Woad Raiders are going down for Dogal, but so are the Kamyuks for Daniel. It's super close. The Mangonel is actually the hero right now, because that Mangonel could take out the Trebs. One Treb down.
And it sort of does. Oh, the Woad does manage to finish off the one trebuchet before it dies, and I think that will allow the Vills to keep this castle alive a little bit longer. Another Mangonel is going to end up falling. The Slingers now have 8 attacks, so they deal 2 damage a hit to the Mangonels, which is certainly relevant in this sort of situation. But now the Kelt Trebs are being brought to the front lines. The Woad Raider production's pretty decent. Full upgrades on the Woad Raiders, as we were saying. The Kamyuk's still missing so many.
Yeah.
And this looks like better and better for
and you can't, yeah, you understand it, because right now Daniel thinks he has to push the middle or he's going to lose the sides. But you can't stay here 1 Treb against 4. I think he's doing it because he's running out of hope. He's focusing everywhere else. He loses the Treb. The Slingers themselves will die as well. And Daniel has very little, if any, side control now. And Dogal still maintains control of the middle. And the GG's called. I mean, we're like maybe 30 seconds away from Dogal noticing the gold miners on the right, killing 20 Vills. Yeah. And he already killed so many villagers on the left. Dogal wins this, and for Barbatacos, they take game number 1 in the semifinal, and we'll move into the 3v3s. But what a fun game. Celts winning in 2024. You love to see it, Ornlu.
Oh, you bet I do. I mean, just tactically, that was so well played for Dogal, always hitting with his units in the right spot at the right time, getting his eco up behind it, doing exactly what he needs to do. And I gotta say, Dogal has been locking down these 1v1s for Barbatacos. We know that in regular 1v1 tournaments these days, Dogal not really as good as he used to be, but when it comes to just, winning a game in a best of 3, Dogal has been so good for his team.
I think normally I'd find something that's extremely obvious that a player who had such a big resource lead should do, and I would be talking about it now. I don't know what to suggest for Daniel there, right? Like, get a bigger lead before the Woad Raiders come out is probably the normal thing. But Woad Raiders just really seem like a really good unit in this matchup. And the Incas just didn't have much to work with. What a call from Dogao. Like, he surprised me a little bit when I saw that he was on Stone with 8 Vills. There are many pros, maybe pros who are still left in this event, who, if they were playing 1v1s with the Celts, they might try Knights and Mangonels instead of ever going for Woad Raiders there.
Remember, Wii Sports was eliminated T90, so...
I mean, you said it, not me. I wouldn't expect Woad Raiders from Leary or from Hard or maybe even MBL, but that's awesome. Well, we move into the 3v3s next, and hopefully the games are just as good as the 1v1s, because all 3 1v1s were really solid. Here we are. This map is a crazy one to start off the 3v3s. Expect lots of army, lots of aggression here. And we have My Insanity versus Barbatacos. So if there's any confusion, just to repeat the what could be obvious for others. The rest is 3v3s from here. Barbatacos earned their win, winning 2-1 in the 1v1 portion. Big win as well. I think nice confidence boost, right? If like the player who lost for Barbatacos, it doesn't live in your head anymore. And then you have 2 players on My Insanity who are thinking, I shouldn't have lost that game. I just lost my team of victory. So what are you expecting to see here, Ornlu? Obviously a very open map.
Yeah, very open map indeed. This is usually going to be the shortest map of the tournament alongside like Umal Samim, but we're going to have ACCM in the red, actually has the Goths on the flank here. So the way this one works out is you have like one guy on the flank and then sort of 2-ish pockets, and that will be Sato and the yellows, the Lithuanians, and then Anatov joining the team games, of course, will be the purple Hindustanis.
Goths is an interesting pick here. Normally the player on the front is harassed a lot or doing the harassing, and the one detail, and I love this about this tournament, by the way, it incentivizes preparation and just tiny little details, which I'm all about, is that the trees with the most wood are actually the trees on this little river. So I think ACCM has picked Goths because he knows that Kingston will probably be here, and Goths get that instant loom upgrade, and here he comes, and he wants that revenge for the 1v1. He wants to lame away at Kingston's woodline.
Oh, yeah, of course, and it's Kingston and ACCM matched up again, and I'm sure the 1v1s, you have to be thinking about that at least a little bit if you are ACCM, looking to do some damage. Now, Loom is in for our blue player Kingston, and Bohemian's also a kind of an interesting pick, as obviously we normally just see them on closed maps, and this is about as not closed as you get unless you look at the gold fortresses, but they never come into the picture anyway, so
yeah,
this is usually just super open.
Yeah, and I should point that out. There is gold there, but it sometimes feels like the game ends well before that gold is ever needed. I don't hate Bohemians. I think they're a really good archer civ to have. I mean, the gold mining upgrades helps you bring in so much gold. The blacksmith is cheaper. Those things alone make them strong. I think even in Castle Age, like chemistry crossbows, or chembows as we call them, could be good. I think the only way I'd be critical of Bohemians here is this is a long series. There will be some closed maps most likely. And if they're ever lacking a civ there, I might look back to picking Bohemians of all civs here as a mistake. But I'm going to assume they have a game plan. So
all of the maps are open or hybrid.
Okay, so every single map, they banned all the closed ones, both sides?
Yep.
All right, there we go.
Band, Limpopo band, Spiny Forest band, Andalusia band. Yep.
There you go. Then Bohemians are a really solid pick here. So I like it. I think there's a lot of civs that could fit, but it certainly does fit better than Goths. Goths were picked mainly for the laming aspect, and we might see more along the same lines here from ACCM. We might see man-at-arms even. We might see a tower right between these two.
Yeah, we see that a fair amount on this map. Barracks being built with 5 villagers here for ACCM. That barracks is going to come down, and it's going to come down quickly, as likely some militia will be made from it, and these vills are actually just chopping trees. I thought they might be coming forward to drop a tower, but no. Not quite yet, and actually no infantry being made here for ACCM, so I'm just wrong all across the board.
It's all right. I know how it goes. So I think at this point, all the scouts should start to show up to the party. These teams are in the semifinals after some great performances. This is not their first rodeo. They should know it's going to get crazy here. The scouts lurking around from ACCM. You have Anatov here to help. where is Miguel and where is Dogao right now? They're not here at all with their scouts, which is just making life so much more difficult for Kingston. The uptime from ACCM is fantastic, so his tower will go up. And that tower will disrupt most of the wood there for a player who wants to make archers. And I just got to be a little critical. Like, having 0 scout presence from the other players is weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, right now, we just have the scout of Miguel kind of just hanging around, the scout of Dogao just kind of hanging around, making their way to the front line, but not fast enough. Also, something that's worth considering with both of these flank civs, Bohemians and Goths, is that usually this map, unlike most team games, as the first bill is going down, it's usually 2 archers, 1 cavalry. Just, flanks go archers, pocket goes cav. Here you kind of have 2 pockets, so it's 2 cav, 1 archer. So having good spearmen is a really beneficial thing to have in this map.
Look at the damage that has been dealt to Kingston already. He got spear and scout rushed by Sato off the gold. He lost a villager on wood. So this whole plan of having Kingston go archers has been completely flipped on his head, as he's 4 villagers behind ACCM already. And I agree with your point. I actually think if you kill the archer player, why not just have lots of spearmen patrolling around your bases if you're the other 3 players? You know it's going to be scouts from them, so that could be a really good move.
Does make plenty of sense, but already MYI off to a fantastic start. We do have a few scouts that are coming in here for Miguel, and by the way, it is a Hun and Slav pocket. Honestly, all the pockets are just good cavalry civs.
Oh.
Makes plenty of sense, and 1 vill starts to go down for Sato.
Yeah, could have been second there, but Miguel will be happy with that. Miguel will have received word that it hasn't been the greatest start for Kingston. I'm still very curious on, what's their communication like? What type of player is Kingston on the team? A lot of players are very chatty and talking all the time, but I teamed with Miguel and Dogao in a 3v3 tournament, and they talk so little. It's crazy. And then, massive things are happening. Units are getting slaughtered. It's extremely stressful. And Miguel's just like, it's fine. It's fine. As he's, patrols in, 35 knights and is on 5 TCs and is being raided in 3 spots. It's crazy how relaxed they are. So, maybe Kingston just doesn't say anything. Don't let your teammates know how bad it's been at the start.
Kingston strikes me as a pretty chill guy, too, which is, pretty crazy that Miguel and Dogao especially are so calm, because, they are known for having some of the best coordination and communication of, any 2 pro players have with anyone else. And it's just crazy how that can work out.
I think that having a relaxed mindset when things are naturally going to go wrong against really good teams is really important. You can soak up the losses without being as frustrated, and the bad moments don't feel as bad. Nice defense from Dogao as the scouts from Anatov come through. They kind of get trapped in, actually. So Anatov not finding the damage he would have wanted there. And now archers from Kingston have made it over to Sato's base, and Sato is not prepared for this, did not track this, and has to drop a tower on his wood line.
That's not really what you want to be, but already great unit movement here from Barbatakos, and I think above all else, unit movement and coordination is what these guys do better. It's what absolutely killed Fox in that set in the quarterfinals, and that is what we need to see here from Barbatakos if they want to take down My Insanity, who have just such strong players at all stages of the game.
I agree, but if you look at the team that's on the field right now, I really think just the difference is strategy, but with team games, you want players who played together. You either have the elite, like a top 5 name with anybody, right? Or it's synergy over time. Now, what I'm loving from My Insanity, because this is an awkward moment, ACCM actually tracked this little army from Kingston, and they'll take care of this now. That's a really nice job. We will need to pay attention to ACCM's base, though, as there's Anatov tracking Dogao, but Dogao killed the villager from ACCM. So nice job. I'm seeing a lot of Dogao movement with army headed towards the enemy right now, and there's just not a lot of scout presence from Sato or Anatov in the Barbatakos bases.
Yeah, Miguel just playing defense with his scouts, whereas Dogao is playing offense. And,
you got
Dogao continuing to apply pressure and keeping Anatov at home.
You can't give Miguel time in this situation with Slavs. You just can't. He is so smooth, and he's got the fastest farm civ in the game. You gotta hit him. or you got to put him under some type of pressure, or he's going to just run circles around you. I like how Sato continues to mix in the spears. So he's going to bring spears and scouts forward to Miguel. Miguel doesn't have army right now, but that would be the danger right now. A fight from Anatov and Dogao. Anatov will win in the south. But now there is Miguel, and Miguel is going to find Anatov, and Anatov's got villagers wandering all around, is saving them. But, man, what a tough map to play. This has got to be crazy.
There's a reason I am not playing in any of the maps in this tournament. It is, we did not make it easy on the players, but you know what? It's a $30,000 team game tournament. You gotta play some difficult maps, and right now, those are more dead villagers, guys. There's a very slight vill lead right now for Barbatacos, but still things are pretty even.
Yeah, still things are pretty even. I think Miguel has actually prepped himself to defend from this quite nicely, because he can engage against the spears as he just passes through them, but he did build the tower. His wood line's way on the back. His gold mining's even way on the back there. Still waiting to see if there's going to be any craziness towards the front here, because they're still so close to each other. And it feels like ACCM and Kingston both are just one bad moment away from losing 10 villagers to scouts, but hasn't really happened, so.
The longer you can put off losing those 10 vills, the better it is for your economy. As right now, these skirms from ACCM are here on the high ground right at the front of Kingstone's base, but this is where Miguel coming in with his scouts. Interesting that we have Miguel playing a much more defensive role with his scouts. I don't think he's really crossed the map much, whereas Dogao's been the one who's been trying to run around everywhere and get damage done, but look at this beautiful fight here from Miguel.
Yeah, and, you know, skirms are just not really the best unit to have in a team game, because the scouts are always out there. The reason you don't even see spearmen that much, though here, of course, it makes more sense with the double scouts on the field. Castle Age on the way for 2 players from My Insanity. We have ACCM on the way up, and he's on stone, so he might drop a castle with the Goths. And then we have Anatov on the way up with the Hindustanis. But Anatov has 9 scouts? That's it? He's got no spears? He's going to have to keep himself safe here for the time being. But if he gets up and can make camels in this matchup, that could also be really good.
Camels, of course, going to be even stronger on maps where the archer player is usually pretty weak. It's why we see on hybrid maps a lot of camel civs. This isn't really a hybrid map for those purposes, but the idea behind it is the same. There's only one archer player, and that one archer player is usually fairly dead.
Yeah.
And that is going to allow these camels to really shine.
I mean, the preemptive tower was nice for Anatov, but no bloodlines and not a lot of scout support, you're going to get punished anyways. There's 2 players here for Barbatacos. They're all over him on his gold. The tower will probably go down as well. And Barbatacos will know. They're like, something's up here. If this guy doesn't have the upgrades and doesn't have the numbers that we do, he's probably up faster than us, so we need to stay here. And support's going to come from Sato, but that's going to take a little bit of time. And it feels like some really nice moments here for Barbatacos. Right before that, ACCM lost villagers to the archers from Kingston, and Kingston's 30 seconds from Castle Age. He'll be up. Chemistry could be an option. He will have crossbows too. And ACCM's still in a weird spot where he's just making trash units. And he'll open Elite Skirm, which again is good against Kingston, but he'll always need Spearmen as well, combined with those skirms against the Knights.
And what's interesting, though, is actually with Bohemians, look, it's instant university. Now, you might just say that's normally for ballistics, and it could be for ballistics, but, I mean, chemistry picking up. Obviously, that is the advantage that Bohemians have in Castle Age, but hand cannoneers versus Goths?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think there's
hand cannoneers versus Huskarls is not what I expected to see on this map, but here we are.
Listen, there's a big opportunity here for Kingston and Code. Now, they don't know this, of course, but they need to get those archers to Sato. Sato he would really struggle before his own knights come out against crossbows. And there's not a lot of reason to want to stick around your own base to defend from skirms either. So that seems to be the play. Sato is 40 seconds from being in castle. He's defended on his wood lines with towers. But I'm thinking his gold. I'm thinking his... well, I guess his gold is on the river. But, you know, just all the resources that are exposed around his TC could still be hit. And camels are out for Anatov, like we said. He's got 5, but camels cannot answer the crossbows either, right?
Not effectively, at the very least. And, I mean, just like you were saying, T90. Crossbone going right to the base here of Sito. The Spearman will die easily, but because Ballistics is in. And now you can just see the MYI guys scrambling to get together a defense. And at this point, it really feels like this is the hour for the Hindustani Camels to show just how fun they are to play against.
We got
as a cavalry player.
We got 3 armies here from My Insanity, and they wait for Sito to get light cav. And the skirms are here as well. They will clear this up. What a find there from My Insanity. All 3 players. And that crossbow army wasn't actually that devastating after all. It still could eventually be a castle for ACCM. We have cav archers from Dogaldo. I like that choice a lot here. I wasn't expecting it because we've seen so many stables. But CA makes sense against Camel compared to Knights against Camel.
It does, and the CA, especially in mass, can really start to do some work together. There's the castle coming in for ACCM, but honestly, right now, it's time to celebrate, T90, because we actually have the gold in the south being used by Dogao. You can just tower hop in through, and it looks like, despite what some players say, it is possible to prepare for these maps.
Yeah, exactly that, and you got Kingston going through as well, so yeah, you get near the tower, it changes to your color, and then you can garrison, ungarrison through. Excellent prep. It's really cool map design. But it's all My Insanity right now with army comp, I'd say. Huskarl, I'm not too sure about that, but I like Huskarl more than I would have initially because it's 2 archer players now. It's not like Dogal's still making knights. Wow, this game could go on for a long time here, the way it's setting up here.
Sorry, I had to get up for a second.
All good.
I had a corgi scratching at my door. All right, yeah, but Barbatacos, they do have a really nice Vil count, but as you're saying, compositionally, the Camels are going to be tough to deal with, the Huskarls are going to be difficult to deal with, and even Sito's Lightcav can run around and find some good rating.
I still like Knight CA a lot. I like it a lot, and I think if it's combined together in good numbers, it should beat Camel Knights, or like Camel Skirmisher. It's so tough. I think it's more about who is fighting who. Like, for example, right now, ACCM's got Huskarls in the castle, and he's got Skirms, but he isn't there to protect Sito from the crossbows again. But it's an interesting game, Ornlu. It could kind of go either way from here, but goes without saying, if Barbatacos wins this, go up 2-0, they're going to be feeling so good. It feels so important for My Insanity to not allow them to get this victory.
Absolutely. On this map as well, it is, I believe, the home map. Yeah, it's the #1 home map for My Insanity, the first map they picked.
Okay.
So this is definitely one that they are going to want to win. And right now, it is looking so nice for Barbatacos. Another beautiful engagement here. Skirm's trying to be at the front for ACCM, but it's looking pretty tough as the Camels are so annoying to deal with when you are just making knights.
So Sito can't take golds right now. ACCM almost out of gold. Here comes ACCM. He's going to tower hop in. But as things stand, gold units are not an option for multiple players for My Insanity because they just don't have access to any free gold mines. And of course, with no gold, you can't make camels. You can't make the knights, which the Lithuanians are so known for. So yeah, this is just a big problem for them. And I think that's why the armies just continue to be so consistent for Barbatacos.
And it's not something we've actually seen on this map. But like, it might sound obvious, like, okay, Castle Age comes in, you go and take the gold that's in the fortresses to the north and south, but we literally have never seen that on this map.
It's the first
and
time.
I've casted a lot of games on this map, and I mean, it just sort of makes sense. Great recognition for Barbatacos to realize the game isn't going to end immediately. You need that long-term setup.
Yep. Now, Camels can still do very well against the Cav Archers because it's still a cavalry unit. But crossbows, they don't receive any bonus damage, and they do have chemistry here, which is really helping even against the skirms. I'd like to see Kingston in the north outpost and also TC. You don't want to allow Sito to get through there. I think that's important, but this game continues to be lots of gold access for one team, not so much for the other. Though I should mention, it's not like Miguel has a ton of gold right now, so he would need to send villagers a long way to get access to gold himself.
Yeah, that is something he's going to need to keep in mind. Although he has been sort of making knights plus light cav, so that's at least stretching his gold a little bit more.
Yeah.
As light cav are still always going to be useful for raiding purposes. Sato also making sure he's starting to pick up those relics as Lithuanian, so still smart play from him. But right now the numbers are just looking so good. T90 Doka is on 41 cav archers already.
Yeah, 41 CA, and I'm waiting for Anatov to run out of gold. You can look and see there's a lot of instances where that team has been selling to get gold again. And he just bought stone for a TC, but that's too many cav archers for even camels to deal with. And if the micro's there, Anatov's army is going to disappear. And then you still have the army from Miguel and the army from Dogao in Sato's base. And Sato can't make knights. This is looking closer and closer to a Barbataco's victory again.
I mean, we're closing in on triple the army right now for Barbatacos. There's also a stable built in the south for Dogao, so he killed all of the villagers from ACCM that were trying to take gold there.
Wow.
And I mean, Barbatacos were like, what, seed 7 or so in this tournament? They've not what I think people expected to be a contender to go to the grand finals. And obviously you still have a ways to go before that, but right now they are just firing on all cylinders.
What's the saying? Like, form is temporary, class is permanent, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, like that's Miguel Dogao is just dude, I mean, these guys were winning Nations Cup back in like 2015, I think. Like 9 years ago, or they were, I think they maybe lost to Finland in one of the finals. I mean, they've just played for so long.
They beat Finland in the finals in China.
And yeah, so that was 2015. And
yeah, I think so.
They've like never played on teams apart from each other, really. But bringing in Kingston has been such a nice fit. What a great game from him. He was lamed initially. It was such a brutal start. And once they just get pumping, once they get the army counts up, you can't stop this team, it seems. And they understood the maps very well. My Insanity is sitting here in disbelief. They cannot believe it. Or maybe what's happening is Anatov wants to resign. Sato wants to resign. But their new addition to the team, ACCM, is like, no, we don't resign yet.
We keep fighting. Unfortunately, though, for MYI, this one does not look like it's going to be theirs. That said, I mean, we had yesterday Dreamers able to take a home map from their opponent, but I mean, we're going to need to see that going forward as game number 2 also going in favor of Barbatacos, 2 games away from the finals for them.
That's huge. That's amazing. And like, imagine the mental for My Insanity right now. Now, obviously, as a competitor, you got to push it out of your mind, but the reality is those 1v1s were close, and there will be 2 players who are feeling like maybe if things would have gone differently, they would have won the first point for their team. Now this game, their best home map, they go down against Barbatacos. And if there's one thing I know about Dogao and Miguel, because they've been around so long, there's like a pecking order in their mind in terms of confidence. And I'm sure a lot of players have this. They still feel like these people we're up against, with the exception of ACCM, these are the new kids on the block, right? We've heard the hype, right? We've heard it, but can they show it to us? And right now, they haven't seen it yet. So I'm really happy for this team, just because I too wasn't expecting such a solid performance from them. But yeah, 2 wins away still will be hard fought victories. My Insanity needs to build up some confidence here, dude.
They will indeed. And I mean, the games have all been very competitive. It's a nice idea that MYI had in that map with the camel play and the Goths pressure to help take out the archer guy, but it just didn't quite work out.
There's a simplicity in how Miguel and Dogao perform in team games together that I also saw when they played against Slapody. And it's basically, they just decide that everyone's building up their armies, right? And I think a lot of teams are trying to assess the situation. You know, let's be patient. Let's wait. Let's get the right timing. Miguel and Dogao, they just go, we move forward. That's what we're doing. We're going to go attack them now. And that's what this game was, is we just saw a lot of that. And then they adapted to what their opponents did after the fact. Of course, there were raids that came their way. But they were definitely the ones to set the initiative. I think the initiative that I remember the most, the very first moment, was Kingston sent his archers and spears to Sato, forced a tower. Then he went over to Anatov, forced a tower from him. And then whole time, Anatov and Sato, the scout players, were worried about defending themselves. And so they weren't able to get the counter damage in. So sometimes you just kind of have to make the opponent work first, hit the opponent first. It's way more complex than that, of course. But that's what I noticed is the difference in that game. Another open map here, game number 3. And let's see what the approach is for both teams. I just got excited. I saw Bulgarians on the field. That's going to be Anatov, who's the middle position again for his team. Bulgarians probably going to be
allowed. Are you allowed to pick Bulgarians in tournaments?
Oh, dude, I thought you were. I didn't even know you were joking for a second. I was like, is there a rule, an anti-Bulgarians rule?
No.
Well,
no, it's just you never get to see Bulgarians.
You do go much deeper into the civilizations at this stage when you've got 3 1v1s and then 6 3v3s. I'm trying to do the math here, but that's over 20 civs that you would have to pick on each side. And so you are going to see some civs that you don't normally see. Bulgarians could be strong with the faster researching and cheaper blacksmith upgrades. On the right, we got Sato Ethiopians, one of the best archer civs in the game. On the left, you got Mongols for ACCM, which tech tree-wise, they're not one of the best archer civs in the game. But timing-wise, they're one of the best archer civs in the game due to the hunt. On the other side, we've got Tatars, Koreans on the flanks, and then Berbers pocket. So pretty good civs, but I mean, they are close together here, Ornlu, so I expect lots of aggression.
Yeah, the way I typically describe this map to people is, in a lot of ways, it plays out like Arabia. It's just, aggressive, more meta-oriented map. But even more so than Arabia, this is positioning-based, because you're so far flung with your resources. You don't have forage bushes. You have to rely on all the shorefish that are hanging around in the shallows. Your gold is pretty far away. There's so many hills all over the place. Army positioning is just absolutely essential here. And that's what Barbatacos have been doing well so far. So MYI are going to need to be able to match that here.
Yeah. I think this is a map where you cannot be too greedy with the walls. And you also need to just accept a tower is probably needed. I mean, look everywhere at where these players are supposed to take gold. It's on a hill. It's exposed. I'm sure there will be some level of walling, but walls are not going to save you here. If you get palisade walls on a hill, but then you don't have army to protect that wall, scouts and archers break through anyways. I played against Germany in a couple tournaments, actually. But also in some training sessions. And something that Anatov is actually really good at is just like, I'm just not going to wall. He's just going to go multi-stable, multi-army, lots of upgrades. If the map is this open, I think he'll at least delay it more than Miguel. I think Miguel's more the classic approach of we always have 1 villager walling or 2 villagers walling as we make our army, which could be an issue here. I think that the Bulgarians will have a 60-second window with all the upgrades over the Berber player.
Yeah, and the thing with Berbers is that they aren't really that great of a feudal age scout aggression save, and that we do see that a lot on this map.
Yeah.
They're more of the Castle Age Knight spam save, and they are great at that, but you need to make it to Castle Age for that to be relevant, and Bulgarians are going to be hitting you most likely so much faster with those cheap and quick researching blacksmith upgrades, as you're saying, as we were looking like around 17 pop uptime here for Anatov. He's definitely somebody who can have very tight build orders, and we see Feudal Age already on the way for ACCM and Sato, too.
It's so funny how much things have changed. I feel like I played with Miguel and Dogao in the perfect type of event and at the perfect time. So it would have been like 2.5, 3 years ago. And I was talking to them about builds. Now, I was like kind of the bench player that came in. I'm not actually going to be picked in the important sets over land, but I was still in there. And I was just talking to them, and they're talking like 20 pop-up times. And I'm like,
how lethargic.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys are so old. You can't go 20 pop in a 3v3. That's suicide. And then Dogal's like, nah, your eco will be trash if you go for like the 17, 18 pop stuff that Margugu's doing, right? And then we played practice series, and we got completely destroyed. And Dogal was like, oh, you're right. So they've had to adapt a little bit to the fact that you've got to go for these speedy uptimes now. And ACCM just stole 300 food from underneath Dogal's TC. That's huge.
Snatch the pebble from my hand, grasshopper.
I like that.
Just yoinking those sheep right away. Now, on the one hand, you don't have the forage bushes, but you do have the shorefish, so you can sort of mitigate those losses, but that will potentially leave you exposed. Koreans are still going to be a very good civ for this map. The towers are going to help you defend really effectively, and yes, we have even seen turtle ships running around the shallows.
I mean, I want to see that. I love to see that, but I think that lane will play a massive role in Dogal's situation here. Thankfully for him, he is Koreans. So it is cheaper for him to make his archers. But there's no mill with this build. He also didn't find, or maybe Miguel didn't find, the 2 sheep to the north. So he's going to have to drop a mill to add farms. I think this will be a struggle for him now. And it puts pressure on Miguel to back him up properly behind this.
Well, it is all going to be on him. He has started his scout production, but at this point, Anatov is likely going to be there faster. On the other side, it's just basically 1v1 Sato versus Kingstone, but Sato is probably one of the best archer flank players in all of AoE 2 right now. Just leave him to his own devices. He's going to hit sharp timings. He's going to have excellent micro, and you can see that he's already just so much faster with his build.
Yeah, MYI is like, they're coming out mad right now. They're really coming out mad. They're looking super smooth. We had ACCM with the lame. We got the constant conversation and coordination from Sato and Anatov talking about where they can do damage. And even just the civ bonuses, like the Ethiopians and the builds, everything just seems much sharper for My Insanity. They're faster to the army, but now's around the time where they decide on their actual target for that army.
And we do have Dogal walling at the front. We have Kingstone with a defensive watchtower in a good position. So I think it's recognition here from our Barber Tacos team that, okay, they were with really sharp builds. We need to be maybe a little bit more defensive. But yeah, again, it's just where do these guys want to hit? And archers are now coming right between yellow and purple.
Yeah, Anatov went for crazy walls, by the way. And the blacksmith is just now coming in. So this is the moment where I feel like the Bulgarians' pick can shine. Fast forging could be great. Oh, man, Anatov and ACCM already back here at Miguel and Dogal's base. And Dogal's got to quickly house wall this. I mean, on this map, you could lose the game, like, right away. The average player would hate this. They don't really have an answer for this right now.
Not a great one for sure. And yes, as someone in my chat pointed out, we did have Anatov wall almost immediately.
Yeah, of course, right? I mean, I think it's safe. What I was expecting was maybe the second stable, but you don't really have the eco for the second stable until you have more vills anyways. So...
yeah, it was only some of the Chinese teams that went for fishing ships on this map, and they actually did have some success with it, but I guess as the meta gets more figured out on this map throughout the tournament, maybe that's going to change a bit. But right now, Vills are having to run away from Miguel. Oh, this is ugly.
He's Berbers, too. I mean, that could have been so much worse if he didn't have the faster villager speed, but he doesn't have wood, which means he won't have as many farms. He's got lots of idle time, and this means that Dogal can't push forward to attack ACCM, and it's still... Miguel doesn't have the upgrades that Anatov has either. And this is all before Sato joins the party, but nice shot from Kingston. It's been hard to talk about, but his scout has actually been tracking this archer army this whole time out of the range, so he knew it was coming. And he's defended at home with the tower, so Sato can't do damage there.
Yeah, good sort of defensive play there from Kingstone, but you're going to need to make something happen out on the map. Oh, okay. Several archers getting picked off right there.
See, I just don't understand. And now a great engagement for Kingston on Sato!
Oh!
I just don't understand how this team's able to do it. You know, they just hang in there against all the early numbers. They actually have the army lead now. That's crazy. And maybe because of the upgrades, Anatov feels like he should take the fight now to even out the score. He will take the fight. It is Ethiopian archers, and they will clear up Kingston on the hill.
Oh. It's like Barbertalk is saying, why take bad fight when you can take good fight?
Yep, true. Honestly, sometimes with so much going on, it's like we try and be so specific on how we describe a fight, but we should just be like, units died. More will come.
Oh, but look at this from MYI. They are absolutely cleaning up. They were able to converge all of their armies together all at once, and suddenly 25 army to 15. Vil counts are more or less even, but this is sort of the comeback game that we needed to see from MYI.
Well, Miguel he wasn't even producing scouts there. Like, he's on one scout. You're expecting the constant production like we have from Anatov, too. Of course, Anatov has the upgrades. I know this is a calculated decision. This has been communicated because they are behind, and they think that maybe him getting to Knights would be the play. But someone is going to feel pain because of this. The tower keeps him alive, but it could be Kingston that struggles. It could be maybe Dogao that gets hit. Somebody should have to face all this army on their own.
Oh, this looks just like my team games with T-West. I'm just full-walled in my base, happy little tower to defend myself, and then T-West is open.
Dying.
And he's just like...
Wow, you're such a great teammate, dude. Well, I mean, again, here, this doesn't make Miguel a bad teammate. This was hopefully communicated. So as long as you communicate that you're going to be a Waller boy, it should be fine. But Miguel's up.
Right. Right now, these scouts are in a brilliant position here for Anatov. Gets another kill there. Don't run into the TC fire, please, Sato. It's a little bit awkward, but still. We actually have Castle Age on the way for Miguel, so he is finding at least a pretty good time to click up, all things considered.
And Dogao is going to click up as well. There's actually a galley from ACCM. That's an interesting move. That'll be pushed away by a fire. But yeah, Dogao will actually have the resources to click up. There he goes. I think army count is just still such a significant problem because Dogao's sneaky army in the back gets found by ACCM. Dogao's going to be Castle Age with less than 10 archers now.
Oh, we're going to need to see some turtle ship dominance at this point because that is going to be tough. Honestly, I love the dock here from ACCM because at the very least, it's going to take a long time for a turtle ship to smash through it. And we've seen turtle ships just wreck the back of players' bases.
Kingston lost a couple of vills, taking a straggler tree. Now his wood line's being raided from the other side. And I direct all my attention now to Miguel. We said that if there was a time for the Berbers, this would be it. Anatov isn't up yet, and Anatov is also getting raided. This is definitely doable. With 2 stable Knight production from the Berbers, like, 2 stable Knights could kill a flank player if the flank player isn't up yet. And it's going to take some time for the flank players to get their crossbow upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, there is a potential timing here that needs to be hit for Barbataco's. 3rd stable coming in for Miguel. Berbers are one of the best civs at going for triple stable Knight play.
Yep.
So right now, MYI is in a brilliant spot, but they need to survive this timing, and that is probably going to be decisive in this game.
Yeah, I think it's doable, and it's crazy that I'm saying it, but I actually think it's doable. It might not work, but what a good decision from Miguel to say, I'm actually going to stop producing scouts now. Hey, team, be ready for 2 armies. Everybody had to be ready for the 2 armies. No one really took many losses to it. I guess Kingston did, but I'd say it's acceptable losses considering the circumstances.
And it's like we were talking about in the ACCM game earlier. Yeah, you might not win this game, but you're giving yourself your absolute best chance of doing so.
Yeah.
And that, to me, has a lot of value when it comes to just, figuring out ways to win. Trying to turn every, situation you can to your advantage and not just trying to do the same thing as your opponent, but worse.
If this were many people watching, there would be a hole in a wall somewhere, and life would get very painful very fast. Oh, man, if Miguel just went to the gold for Sato right now, life will get painful for Sato. Potentially. Is there a hole?
Yeah.
Oh, Anatov made a hole to build the stable there. And the Knights so far for Miguel haven't found damage. It's not what they would have wanted. But Dogao is here, and Dogao has been spotted by Anatov. So the Knight player, Anatov, is completely off of gold and wood. Really tough position for him.
And this could be another case of, as I like to call it, Age of Kill the Pocket. As if you take down Anatov or at least severely weaken him, suddenly you're in a position where you have the mobility advantage with your own pocket, and sort of you can choose where to take those 2v1 fights against the enemy flank. So usually I would say the pocket is going to have the hardest time defending themselves because cavalry is a lot worse at defending than archers, and they are going to be the most important player to take out.
Yeah, and Miguel just dives underneath the TC. Dogao, he's on the hunt. And this is another example of Barbatacos finding their moment and finding their timing. And of course, Anatov is probably saying, guys, I'm dying, come help me. And that happens. ACCM is here, but it's worth remembering that this means that there's time for the other players elsewhere, back at their bases. We could have Miguel with a whole lot more Knights. Nice clear up, though. They do defend Anatov. He'll be back on resources here as Sato has killed Kingston and put Kingston in a really tough position on the other side here.
But look at this, T90 Miguel is here. And this is just the advantage you get when you have your own pocket in a good spot. You can help defend your allies. You look at this, it's 46 to 33 villagers in favor of Miguel. This decision absolutely paying off as we have an overall Vill lead that's pretty darn nice so far for Barbatacos.
Yeah, nice little raid there on the back from Dokyao. Now, ACCM's got a massive crossbow count. He doesn't have them all together, but the crossbows are the key right now for this team. That's their army lead. Now, what I don't like, if that's the case, is ACCM sending out a small group. That small group will get chased down by 4 Knights, no problem. And what I don't love for my Insanity either is that score flip. I know that the game's still close, but that's a real sign that things have fallen apart for you a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal at this stage. The armies are basically dead even, but with that very notable advantage in the pocket here for Team Barbatacos. Knights are charging right in here. They don't care at all, man. Just go right for the archers here of Sato. He's on 4 ranges, but that just doesn't seem to matter right now as you even get some support here from Kingstone.
Yeah, the support is really helpful here because the Knights do bump, and it's a great find. And the flanks were supposed to win this game for my Insanity, but it's actually just been about the pocket from Miguel with his Knights. He's got 14 Knights. He's going to have more Knights on the other side. And this team just feels inevitable now. Even if in Feudal Age they fall behind, which happened in the previous game as well, they just dominate in Castle Age together. It's crazy stuff we're seeing here. Look at the big fight from ACCM and Dogal on the other side. That's pretty close. But they'll take that. If that 1v1 is even, and Sato is taking these types of losses, they'll be very happy.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to take a good enough fight, and I think that should be a good enough fight here for Dogao. Keep ACCM in a bit of an awkward spot. He does have a second TC, only player to have a second TC, but that just doesn't matter if you aren't taking good engagements. And even the mighty turtle ship is sailing across the map.
Knights diving from Anatov. You could tell right there, he knows this is bad for his team, so he tried to advance up the hill, but these are Tatar crossbows, so they're doing more damage at this point. And I love the patience as well from Barbatacos to just stay on the hill, because they're sitting on Sato's production and near his gold. So Sato will not be in a better spot as long as they stay here. They're winning the game. They could boom. They can do whatever they want at this point, and the turtle ship is out. I don't know if I think you said that, Ornley. I've been so focused on the death here. And yeah, just problems now for ACCM as well.
Yeah, you were focusing on the relevant fights. I was focusing on the turtle ship.
I think there was a big turtle ship hit too. Oh, no, it had 0 kills, but...
Hey, it's dealt 108 damage. That's like a little more than 2 turtle ship hits. And there's the GG called. I mean, Barbatacos is 1 win away from the sweep. That is not what I expected.
Were they Seed 7? Was that it? Seed 7?
I think they were Seed 7.
Honestly, I could have seen them being even a higher seed, right? Because were 1v1s incorporated into the seeding process?
Oh, sorry, they're Seed 9. Dreamers was Seed 7.
Okay, yeah, they're Seed 9. 3-0 up against my Insanity. And listen, when you think about the lineups here, I would say that Sato and ACCM probably number 1 and number 2 in terms of the 1v1 players out of all of them. And then falling in that pecking order maybe is Dogao at 3, maybe Daniel at 4, Kingston at 5. Like, I mean, the individual talents, it's certainly all there for my Insanity. And it's just been a disastrous start for them. I need to take it back to that moment where Miguel had 1 scout, stopped production, and everyone on the team knew it's going to be painful, but you need to mitigate taking losses. You need to hold as best as you can. Had they not thought about that, had they just like cruise controlled and had Miguel drop a second stable and stay in feudal and make more scouts, they would have lost this game. The Knights were the key, They made it look easy. They made the whole day look easy, Orlu.
Absolutely. And what I thought was really interesting is they took the chance and they went right to the pocket. They could have gone, the Knights could have just gone to Sito.
Yeah.
Because Sito was the only player who wasn't full walled on the other team. So I think in a vacuum, it would make sense to go to Sito. But they're like, you know what? We're going to have Dogao there with his own archers, and we are going to take these good fights, and we can just push the pocket out of the game completely. And that is exactly what they did. And that will lead us to a potential decider game already on Menandi.
And this is one of my favorite maps. I actually keep forgetting about this one. I love how you could have so many different roles on this map, Orlu.
Yep, this is actually the map contest winner. When we did our map contest for this tournament, $500 map making contest, and this is the map that got the most first place votes, and I got my first place vote for sure. As it's just such a cool concept. I have never seen this little triangle of TCs here in a map design before, but I think it works out really well. As we are here, game number 4 on Menandi,
and it just allows so many different things, right? Like,
yeah,
you have. What I love is pros and cons of any decision, right? And sometimes you have more than that, or more of that in some maps than others. And here, you could already see one team choosing to take a risk, potentially, and walk out and build a mill on the fish in the middle with Kingston. But they don't have to do that. They could use the fish in the middle between the players. That is most likely only going to be enough for one player, though. So Kingston choosing to take the risk, have his Vills in the middle. He's Aztecs. We got Miguel as Teutons. And then we have Spanish in the back for Dogao. So I think Dogao will almost certainly go for a castle. I could see Miguel going for scouts. And Kingston, like, maybe still archers? Maybe monks eventually could be the plan?
I like the monk idea a lot, and we see a lot of unique unit play on this map. Usually, at least somebody goes fast castle into unique unit, and we're probably going to see that from Daniel on this side with the Portuguese going for the organ guns. Sito already with an early dock, though, as well. So on the one hand, you have Teutons with the conversion resistance, plus good cavalry play in general, and on the other side, you have the fantastic eco of Malians and Sito.
I think organ guns... I don't know if they're necessarily better than conks, as we have Kingston laming. Ooh, this is an interesting situation here. You cannot lose out on that boar here if you're Sito, but you could also lose the villager if you try and take it without loom right now. And Kingston blocking probably won't kill the villager, but just annoyance on Sito's side right now.
And this is just so well done. I mean, Kingstone's role right now is to be the gremlin, right? He's forward out on the map. He was prepared to do some Vill fighting if ACCM was going to go for it. He just happened to not do that. He's going to be doing some laming here. Vill's going to try and quick wall herself in, and she will. And that boar is being taken. Oh my goodness. I think Kingstone's starting to work pretty well in this team, gotta say.
Yeah, and what a spot to get to. If things would have gone a little bit differently, it's possible that Sito would have had the boar, and this wouldn't have been a factor at all. Daniel's here trying to help. We might see Sito try and de-aggro the boar with a house or something. But Kingston, a villager and an eagle doing all of this is crazy. And the boar will die here, which was the goal.
Oh, very sad boar right there. Didn't get a single hit on any of these units. Absolutely tragic. So and it will just be slowly rotting away. The ostriches have mostly been killed as well, and this is already great for Barbatacos.
How many boars would he have had? Did he have a boar before that boar got lamed, or is that the only one?
Yeah, he had another boar.
Okay, so it's B2 boars. He's still got sheep. He's still got the fish. The awkward thing for me about the fish is you run out of it with the fish boom in Dark Age. So you almost need the fast feudal. I think he wants fast feudal and a fish boom. I love how Miguel shows up here with his scout to support. And the villager's still lurking around. So yeah, interesting stuff. All the food in the middle was taken already from Kingstone. And he also got his boars. So really good start for him.
Yeah, 800 food in the middle across those 4 perch. And, I mean, it's hard to ask for a better start overall here for Barbatacos. Notably, though, they don't have anybody with a dock yet. And this is the sort of situation... you have different players who can dock. You can either have the guy who's going super aggressive dock to help bolster their economy. You can have the guy who's going for the fast castle dock to help them with their unique unit rush. Or you can have the guy going for scouts, have their fishing ship, and that's exactly what we have MYI doing. So lots of different decisions you can make.
Yeah, I think the build that we're seeing from Sato is the more complex one that has the most potential. So that's, the fish boom. Once he's in feudal, he'll be able to use those fishing ships for that, but that takes time for payoff. I think it's just so typical for this team, Barbatacos, to try and keep it simple for 2 out of the 3 players. Kingston has been the guy who's been stressed a lot of the time, taking damage early, like game number 2. But then you just need Miguel and Dogao to be chill. And that's pretty much been the case. Miguel loves his scouts, right? He's done it every single freaking game, even the 1v1. And he's going to open up there. And then Dogao taking stone and taking gold, which is just another fascinating aspect of this map, right there in the middle.
Yep.
Almost like it's designed for this.
Oh, yes, but look at that. ACCM says he is sick and tired of being sick and tired. He's sending 4 villagers forward. It's time for some Byzantine trash rushing. He has already killed one of the villagers of blue. Kingston's still a little ways off from feudal age. And this could be the sort of situation that MYI need to make this game messy and give some time for Daniel to get to those organ guns safely.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Like the approach for Kingston was to be aggressive in Dark Age and slow somebody down. But as Miguel actually deletes his barracks so he can rush down a tower here, ACCM is going to try and make things awkward here in feudal. And already he's forcing 2 players to respond, which I think is a positive. But the negative will be he might not get this snowball going. The tower might not actually go up in a good spot. I still like it, though. I think it's good.
I certainly like the idea a lot, and now that Feudal Age is in, we have the fish traps. For some reason, the fish traps can only be built along the edges of the pond. No idea why that's the case, but it means you can't get like this full BF-style fish boom on this map.
Oh, so it doesn't let you build it in the middle?
Yeah, no idea why, but that's the thing on this map.
Okay, I didn't know that. Well, players normally cram them in on the side of their docks anyways, so I just assumed maybe maybe the scripter didn't want fish booming to be a possibility, and then the players found out it still was.
Well, at least not fish booming, perfectly. But that said, because there really isn't room for a second dock, having some fish traps along the edges anyway, even if it's not the most efficient in the world, it's still like getting that second TC almost in early game. So yeah, 34 villagers right now for Sato.
Okay, so the key now is castle position. I actually think that's what Miguel and Sato are essentially doing. They are trying to protect space for a potential forward castle, because Dogao would love a castle directly on Daniel's TC or on ACCM's TC. I think they cannot let that happen here if they're My Insanity, and could maybe look for a castle on Miguel's TC. Daniel's not far away here. He is on the front position. They'll have enough for the castle. I think you're down 3-0. It's not looking good. You got to place that castle forward. Get a big, crazy victory. Get the momentum back for your boys. And take it to game number 5. Let's go, Daniel. Come on. Forward castle time. Forward castle time.
No, we don't need houses. We need castles.
I think he's, waiting with these vills. He just saw Dogao's scout. Dogao's double-checking here.
Oh, here we go, T90. And I like this especially because you have ACCM with the army. You do not have Kingstone with the army. Kingstone's trying to go up to Castle Age. What is the purpose of these spearmen and skirmishers if not to give you this beautiful position here? And we're going to be dropping the castle.
We got villagers from Kingston. And Dogao blocked the foundation with the scout. Dogao blocked the castle foundation. Goodness. What a play. And now Dogao's going to be here to build his own castle. And we got scouts from Miguel.
Stop fucking your ally.
What a play, dude. And they might actually go further forward here. That's sick, dude. And now Daniel's in a panic. And what a read and what a freaky play from Miguel, Kingston, and Dogao. But they got to run away now. They got to run away. Get your vills out of here. Get out of here.
About that?
Oh.
I didn't hear no bell.
You're right. That tower could deny this castle. Daniel needs to bring all of his villagers to build this right now.
I know the tower like has a 0.2% success rate, but this might be that 0.2%.
A lot of the Vills are weak from the Vill fighting.
Yep.
Daniel's it's at 50% here. The thing is, if Daniel's castle goes up, Miguel loses a bunch of Vills to it. But it's not going to go up.
No, it's not. Not even close.
Oh my god. And Kingston's walling it. And Daniel deletes the foundation, and now he's got to place another one. But now there's going to be conks.
Okay, he does have the stone, but he's on 19 Vills, guys. This is what we call sad. That said, 50 villagers for Sato. I thought you couldn't even place 2 docks effectively. Sato says, no.
But what does Sato make here is my question. When he's in Castle Age, what does he do unit-wise? He's Malian, so he could go for knights, but conquistadors are out in the map. And so, as Daniel's going to lose another villager, oh, goodness. Loses one more. And now he's down to 18. Sato's going to really have to carry this for his team now. I just can't get over that it was like 4 spearmen, 4 skirms versus 1 scout and Vills. And Dogao blocked the castle foundation, and both the forward players for Barbataco sent Vills to deny that. Crazy stuff.
And that is, a split-second decision that absolutely bailed them out of having a castle right on Miguel's face, and he would, lose his TC in Feudal Age. He'd be having a very sad time of things, and suddenly, things are at least looking better here for Barbatacos. Some conks are running around the back. There's a very compact base here for Sato. He's still going to need to find a way to go out. I don't even know if there's room for the knights to run around.
Yeah, ACCM Stone Miners get spotted. Miguel had scouted that, called that out, so Dogao will send 1 conk there to kill that. And ACCM is in Feudal Age. He will be up against a Mangonel. Now, Cav can kill that, but what can convert the Cav would be monks, and Aztecs are great at that. So I think the game plan is making a lot of sense right now for Dogao and for Kingston. And organ guns as well are going to find it difficult. When you only have 18 Vills, it's really hard to get enough organ guns to deal with siege and conquistadors.
On the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, organ guns are a pretty silly unit.
Yeah, like against conks alone, they need to change this unit again.
I know.
It's so like whatever change they made to nerf it just made it better. I've been convinced. Yeah. But the Mangonel is coming.
And that is going to be critical. Mangonel still... it doesn't even outrange the Organs. Organs have 7 range. So... Oh, this is getting pretty tough. But still, 20 villagers is actually incredibly low.
What are the sling rules here? Miguel could sling, right?
Yeah, no. You have a 40% sling tax instead of the usual 30% sling tax. But other than that... before coinage. But other than that, yeah, no rules.
Nice snipes there. Kingston losing villagers to ACCM, who has had to find something to do. So nice job. Yeah, I'm just wondering what benefit Miguel brings the team. He could just boom on 2 or 3 TCs. I see he's got Vills in the right corner, so maybe he just does that. But it might be good to maybe give resources to his teammates as well. Because if you could get Kingston and Dogao in an even better position, they're pretty much the only 2 fighting right now as is.
Yeah, it's like, what do knights really add to the army composition that the conks and monks and mangonels don't give you?
Yeah.
Not really all that much.
These organ guns have one-shotted 6 conquistadors, which is crazy. And it
do
only
I hear the words fun and interactive?
It's like, it only costs wood and gold. Conks are so much more difficult to get to with the food cost associated with them.
And conks require upgrades. They don't require many upgrades, but they still require
some
upgrades.
upgrades. Yeah. No surprise to me that Dogal's getting bloodlines because he wants more HP now. So 3 TC boom for Sato. He's going to go light cav, and he's going to go camel. I like the light cav edition because if you get rid of the monks, you can actually engage with the camel. So yeah, I think my Insanity are in a nice position here. Later on, though, it could be an issue if Dogao, or Miguel rather, is free booming, which is what he's going to be doing, it seems.
He is, but still, okay, there's some knights on the way, so it's not a pure boom. It's not what I call an AFK boom. but nice snipe there here from the Conquistadors. And monks are there to heal up their friends. Aztecs and Spanish working together in the bonds of friendship, just like they always have.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's an interesting alliance there, Aztec Spanish. Okay, organ guns have been very patient. Daniel's been finding his moments. There goes Kingston trying to convert the light cav. The light cav will kill the mangonels, though. If the mangonels are gone, the organ guns can kill everything, and the organ guns are going to dive. There's skirms as well from ACCM, which is good against everything here, too. And the army for Kingston and Dogao is not enough. And they lose full map control here, Ornlu.
I can't think of how you could take that engagement better as MYI. Like, you had units coming in basically from 3 sides at once. The organ guns being so patient from Daniel, as you're saying. Absolutely essential. Keep that mass alive.
Yep, and now it's mainly Conquistadors against organs. There's way more organs than conks. What the conks do have is the mobility. But I think if the Conquistadors run too far away, they could even be met by some camels from Sato. You know what I'm surprised by and really impressed with is how after Daniel had such a rough time getting that castle up, which was a bad thing, Sato still casually boomed so much. Like, I would think if my teammate struggles to get started, I would go max army. But he didn't do that, and they still took a good fight, and he's got 100 eco soon. That's crazy from Sato.
No, Sato from the Ornlu school of team play. Allies dying. They'll be fine.
I'd be like, Daniel's already dead, so what does, what am I going to change?
Exactly.
But Daniel's also done, give him a lot of credit. He's had the perfect micro because mangonels are very strong against organs. Monks can be a threat against the organs. And he was patient. He picked off the conks when he had the moment, and he waited for his team. So I think he'll be very happy with this. And the player you're essentially waiting to help you now is Miguel, I guess, right? We haven't talked about Miguel in a long time. But against 110 villagers? Look at these organ guns. They're so broken, dude. They're so broken. Kill 5 Conquistadors with 2 volleys. And Dogao's their best players, so it's kind of looking like my Insanity are going to get a win on the board.
Hey, you know what? You take the wins however you can get them.
It's
like you have to now try and dip in to get that cute little snipe on a weak organ gun, and then it's just like, no, you can't actually micro against organ guns.
It's the inaccuracy, right? It's like the fact that they changed the accuracy made them stronger because now you can't micro against them. You can dodge to the side and you're still going to die anyways. Just because of that radius, I guess. Sorry, I get really bent out of shape with the organ guns. It's been a balance problem for a while. I'm sure the devs have, a bit of a headache. But, like, the fact that that was their fix tells me there weren't a lot of test engagements with the unit. It's just made it better.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's a tight race between organ guns, Manaspa, and Leichai for the most ridiculously unfun unit to play against.
Daniel, 39 eco, and you could make arguments they don't actually need ACCM at all right now for anything. I mean, he's going to contribute with the skirms, which is of course great. He's picking off some monks with the skirms, but I think Sato could just kind of finish off the game with Daniel. Use the organs and use the cav. I'm expecting imp soon for Sato. That's nowhere near for Dogao. That's nowhere near for Miguel or for Kingstone. And cav rage should be good on this map. I know there's a lot of eco condensed in the middle, but the sides should be such an important factor, and that's all going to be hit by cav.
Yeah, and something that we can consider is that although we normally associate Sato as being, a very execution-oriented, aggressive player, and he is. He did win Rage Forest, right? So
yeah.
Clearly, he has those late-game chops that you need to be successful in these sort of big team games.
He's super well-rounded. Like, I actually think that Sato could be a better pocket for them than Anatov on all maps. Like, Sato is clearly the better individual player. And I think while you normally associate him with archers, he can kind of do it all. He's really good. And this is an example of it. And it's exciting, too, because what you want is you want momentum. I think this is another game that's been quite close. But finally, My Insanity is going to get a win on the board. And maybe they don't fully believe after this victory, as the Organ Guns kill monks. But they win the next one, then suddenly you don't feel like you're too far off from a pretty improbable reverse sweep.
Yeah, and of course it's worth remembering that this is actually the home map of Barbataco, so they still have one more home map left in Tar Desert. So right now, you feel like, okay, we get the necessary win, we get it on our opponent's home map, and you can just start looking towards that next step. Every reverse sweep starts with a single win, as I say.
Yeah. I think the games, it's not like they lost the first 3 games being completely stomped. They were in every one.
Yeah.
And then here, honestly, with what happened to Daniel, like that was just horrible. That's enough to lose you a game. But they had Sito to back him up this whole time. Man, Sito's economy is crazy. Look at these TCs on gold everywhere.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. 151 villagers. He's not actually overboomed. You can't really be overboomed if you're not even at 200 pop. He's just going to keep on churning out those cavalry units. Yes, conks are good against cav. Yes, monks are good against cav. It doesn't matter when you have 50,000 units. Instant crop rotation. Now that's my man, Sito.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see crop rotation pay off in this one. That's going to take...
Not with that attitude.
They would have to be quite a turnaround here for Dogal and for Kingston. I mean, they are pushing ACCM right now. So progress is being made. But just kind of waiting for a big old army from Sito to swoop over there. As Miguel probably can't believe it. He's like, I've been free booming. I made no army except for 3 scouts. How is he up before me here? It's got to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to the fish boom. My Insanity, they went for the fish boom immediately. You had Kingstone fish boom after the initial Bill fighting stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, his eco isn't quite as good as ACCM's, and I mean, this is just looking so good for us to not get a sweep. And I am very happy that MYI are showing some of that resolve that ACCM at least is known for.
Yeah, every game's been close, even the 1v1s.
Yep.
The scoreline, if you just got here, does not tell the whole story. This is where the raids will become extremely problematic. And when you have an economy like this, you're not even that worried about donating a couple Cavalier into monks. As long as you kill the monks, it doesn't matter. Sito needs to lose units at this point just to, free up the next army to run across the map. So he's getting faith. He's getting faith because he just can. Why not?
Why not? Indeed, he grabbed coinage so he can start to sling his allies back into things. When you get Daniel up to the Imperial Age, he can just add in a few Federias and then start laying in with more gunpowder. Already have ACCM who's up to Imperial Age, which is honestly in itself really impressive considering, again, he received 0 sling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually crazy. Wow. And I think Barbatacos are slowly coming to the conclusion that this could be over. There's the resources sent to ACCM, so he has enough for a castle and plenty of upgrades to contribute here with Sito. And the GG's called, and finally, My Insanity gets a win on the board. Man, I mean, when that castle got denied, I was thinking that this would be over. I mean, you'd have Daniel down at 18 vills. But he did well. He did an amazing job with his organs. He then had a crazy boom behind this as well. He's on 3 TCs. Actually booming towards the enemy right now. And then it really was Sito this game. Sito's carry was ridiculous.
Did you see the resources collected for Sito? It is ridiculous.
So you can combine Miguel and Kingston's resources collected, and it would about match what Sito did on his own. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And also, I mean, Kingston's res collected wasn't that good compared to Daniel's. Now, he was kind of in the firing line of a lot of the organ guns, and he was making monks, but nice job from Daniel to recover after going down to 18 vills. So, okay, this map is crazy. I remember last time I saw this, now I missed a week. We actually had lots of eventual stone walls through the middle, so I'll be curious to see if that happens again. But it is a map with lots of water on the outside. and lots of land through the middle, but notably wallable for some teams. They've at least felt like it was worthwhile. So I liking the civs for both here. Dravidians, Italians on the flanks for Barbatacos. Georgians pocket. Oh man, their civs are really, really strong. And then the other team's got Persians pocket, which I also think is ridiculously strong. With the Roman flank, that's interesting. And then the Malay in the north for ACCM.
Alrighty, so we have 5 civs that just make plenty of sense, given that this is basically just a different version of Coastal. It is going to be Curacao, a map that I wish I was at real life, but no, I'm stuck here casting this tournament instead of kicking it in the Caribbean.
Did they switch colors here?
Yes.
I'm not sure the exact reasoning for that, because you need to be 1, 3, and 5, or you need to be 2, 4, and 6. But they switched colors here. I wonder. I seem to remember that it was even colors for Miguel, Kingston, and Dogao earlier in the day too. I don't know. Anyways, it's not a big deal, but just in case people didn't pick up on that, they switched colors. So.
Yep, that is indeed going to be the case, guys. So Curacao, for those who have not maybe seen this map too much yet, again, it's basically not too different from Coastal. You have lots and lots of fish in the water, although the deep fish are further away from the shoreline, so it's not like super efficient fishing early on, but it will be quite nice as the game progresses. And because the map is vaguely peanut-shaped, you have this sort of narrow bend in the middle of the map with all this extra wood that you can wall off as the game goes on.
Yeah, I think Persians and Georgians should have the early fishing ship compared to most civs. They both have great cavalry, so that'll probably be the role. What you cannot do here, if you're the flank, you cannot allow galleys to pass through and get to your pocket. That would be devastating. So I think the very obvious choice would be full water for both flanks, and then later on they'll adapt. Now, where it gets interesting is then you'd only have one player potentially going land. So that would be like Miguel or Sito going scouts. And the Slapodi team, they tried to wall against the Barbatacos team because the Komodo Dragons, they don't actually attack like they would in the normal game. And if the wood lines are there, this one's a bit more open than that generation I'm referring to. Stone walls through the middle would allow more of a booming game and more of a, more of a water focus, which they might want. But again, pretty open. That would be a lot of walling.
Yeah, according to Hank, who made the map, the Komodo dragons represent iguanas. They're very big iguanas.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've seen some big iguanas here in Florida, but I don't think I've ever seen an iguana the size of a horse. So that's why Hank told me that. I was wondering, Hank was, gave me a very specific description of why there's Komodo dragons on the map, and apparently Curacao has a lot of iguanas, so that was probably the reasoning. I like the flavor. I like the extra little addition to the map.
Yeah, all the maps definitely sort of flavorful with, they're all based off of real-life desert skies, and, the map makers really sort of did their best to make them as sort of resembling their real-life counterparts as much as possible, while still being an AoE map.
There are exceptions for me. Like I think Salim, is that the name of it? That map for 1v1s is just not fun. I just don't love it.
No.
But listen, the maps have just kicked ass in this tournament. They really have. And I know, that some people didn't like the maps because they're different. But, dude, if you talk to so many of these teams, they've really enjoyed being able to benefit from practice and learning things and trying different strategies. That's what Team Game Age of Empires is about. So I'm very much in the camp that this map pool has been awesome. I think it was tough for some people to kind of get their heads wrapped around some of the craziness and some of the quirkiness, like some of the Gaia units, for example. But yeah, dude, I really like what everyone did with the map pool, and I'm happy with the games it's produced.
Yeah, me too. And that's always something that you're going to be really nervous about as a tournament host with all these very different maps. Yep. And the fact that we haven't had a team game tournament in a while, it's like, oh no, are these actually going to be good games?
Yep.
But no, we've had a lot of good games. Obviously, not all of the maps are going to be amazing for both 1v1s and team games. That's just kind of how it is. But the fact that we at least get most of them, as in very good in both modes. That is really all we can ask for as tournament organizers. And right now, we will have Feudal Age unfolding. Triple docks here for Daniel. I hate the positioning of these docks. There is going to be a ship that is trapped, at least one.
So the ship, I'm trying to think about that. The ships would only be trapped if he sets the rally point to the south at any point, because then the top dock would try and send a ship down.
Yeah.
That is like very weird for fishing, but it's very good for massing army, I guess. But yeah, that's uncommon, to say the least. And here comes the first stone walls for Kingston.
Living up to his name.
Will try and Kingstone Wall. And I'm expecting scouts from Miguel. He built the stable on the front, so there will be scouts. I'm expecting scouts from Sato. He built the stable at home. I'm still fine with that because scouts are fast. But they're the only players making land army right now, the scout players.
Yeah, we've seen some teams try and go for like archers on the flank quickly, but giving up water and giving up on that early fish boom is certainly not something you ever really want to do. Notably, though, ACCM is only just now placing his third dock, whereas Dogao is already operating on the 3. And with so much space to sail around with your galleys, we have to imagine that the galley play should be a lot better than the fire galley play on this map.
Yeah, nice job there from Daniel, though, on the other side. Daniel getting the numbers faster than his opponent. So, slightly better builds. And I would favor Daniel over Kingston with the micro, especially if Kingston has stone walls to worry about, too. So I think the role is much more difficult for Kingston right now. He certainly does have the Civ to compete long-term, and it's just way better than Romans, I think, Italians. But Daniel is not giving him any space to breathe here. Obviously, new galleys are going to pop out, but you can't group them up together because your docks are separated.
Yeah, and that's always the fear when you're going for galleys, is the docks can't be too far apart because galleys are only useful when grouped up in one big blob. Also, Romans do have that little bit of an armor bonus, so it takes oftentimes another galley hit to kill them. So that's just a nice little military bonus, at least early on, and you have a good eco behind it with Romans, so it's still fine, and even Fletching's in as well. Nice and fast here for Daniel, and he is going to be doing so well here on the flank.
What is surprising to me is that ACCM's open with fires. It feels like the fires would be better in Castle Age, but right now, Dogao should be able to micro down the fire ships with his galleys, kills 2 fishing ships, and he'll chase down these fires. I'd not seen anyone open fires on the flank. I'm sure you might have saw it, Ornlu, but I didn't.
I have, but it was with a super fast uptime.
Like Castle Age or fast
No,
feudal.
just like two fishing age, two fishing ships in Dark Age, click up to Feudal Age, and then just try and harass your opponent.
Well,
or you go for the fire galleys if you're playing land.
Yeah, that's surprising. I like the communication from Dogao. There must have been a fire ship that passed through, so Miguel's defending his own fish now. And I like the recovery from Kingston. Again, like what you're essentially fighting for right now is you're fighting to win water so you can kill the pocket player's fish. And so if Dogao wins water against ACCM, as he's now going to switch into galleys, those fishy ships are going to die for Sato. And it's the same on both sides. So nice recovery from Kingston against Daniel. Initially, it wasn't looking good. Things are fine now. And nice stone walls. They're not complete yet, but they're soon almost complete. On Dogao's side, actually near the docks from ACCM, funnily enough. And then in the very middle of the map with Kingston, where Kingston has 2 vills.
Yeah, good proactive play here for our Barbatacos team. We got Bloodlines now coming in for yellow. So scout numbers are pretty similar. There are 7 Spearmen, though, out for Sato. He's being pretty aggressive with them out on the map, making sure that he can at least try and harass the flanks as much as possible. Anything you can do as the pocket to help your flank win water so that your flank can then in turn protect the pocket's fish. It's all very symbiotic here.
Wow, that's actually crazy from Daniel. I double-checked his Navy as he quick-walled against the Georgian scouts, and he microed the Navy perfectly. It's like, normally what happens is you can't do both in that same moment, but it is more pressure on him and more he has to pay attention to, and maybe he can't send as many villagers to gold. Maybe he starts to float a few more resources. Life should be pretty breezy now that the walls are down for Barbatacos. Just a small army from Sato in the walls of 2 spears, 2 scouts, but that won't do too much now. And Daniel is losing his galleys finally. Well,
I mean, it was a very aggressive engagement from Kingstone. A lot of confidence that I can just out-micro you and take the better fight, and he at least is starting the fight by doing so.
Yeah.
And if you just want to sail into point-blank range and just start to arrow each other down, that could be something that's a bit advantageous for Kingstone in general, but the close reinforcements here from the docks is going to make that a bit of a more difficult prospect for Kingstone.
Yeah, so Sato loses his fish. ACCM struggles on water. Now, he's come back with galley production, so that could change. But his struggles on water will lead to him losing fish. I think Dogao is telling Miguel right now that ACCM is looping around with the galleys. So it could be the same for Miguel, in all honesty. Sato has clicked up to Castle Age. We will see Miguel on the way to Castle Age. And overall, a very close game. I would say that the total military and eco, it seems like it's ahead for Barbatacos. So, and they have the stone walls. So I prefer their position, but it's by no means, a massive lead for them right now.
Come on, how are you supposed to cast in hyperbole like every AoE player? It's completely over, T9.
It's game over. I mean, with the organ guns, I was saying they're busted. Like, that was more. But I think if that might not be in dispute. So, all right. I'm still very curious on the fishing situation for the pockets here. Miguel sails away with his fish. I think he knows he's going to get microed down. And then we have Dogao actually with his galleys still looping around here towards Daniel. Daniel's galleys now looping around. So what I like about the walls is as long as you have a gate, you can still run in to disrupt the opponent with land units. They can't do that to you. So Sato is kind of forced to make army that he can't use to kill the enemy vills, but he only uses to defend. And that's tough because you could overmake a ton of army and they might not push you at all. And then they're booming and you just completely misjudge the situation. So it's just not a great spot to be in. And I'm actually surprised they didn't try and wall up behind the walls from Barbatacos, honestly.
Yeah, that feels like it would make a lot of sense going forward. I also love the transport ship here from Dogao. Gonna send his allies, scouts, right over into the enemy base where there are very few land units. And you're going to need to rely then on Sato, who also, by the way, guys, got his fishing ships cleaned up too. So really, almost everybody is on few to no fishing ships at this point in the game. It's going to transition mostly towards land fighting.
The recovery from ACCM on water has been pretty good, though. He's in Castle Age faster. Now, that's the power of the melee. And so Dogao will need to be careful here. I also find it funny that Dogao transported around his own wall. Like, normally you see the transport against someone who's walled, but when it's your own wall, where you have a gate, that's also pretty interesting.
Well,
oh my god, Sato just held the gate open. What in the world? That's crazy he noticed that. That villager from Kingston was clicked around to check for holes, I think. And Sato saw it, put the camel underneath the gate, and is on stand ground. That is now wide open for army to run through.
Oh my goodness. Your walls are only as strong as their most open gate. Just ask Constantinople in 1453.
Dude, like, I can't get over that. I'm still not over that. Because camels weren't supposed to be a problem here. But now camels, and like Kevin the Eco, is all a problem because of that one villager from Kingston. They might not even notice this either. Dogao is currently dying on water. So he has to react now as he gets hit on gold. And Sato's just still chilling there. Imagine if they win this game. You're up. You won 2 straight. You have all the momentum. You have some big, epic plays. Like, Sato's been playing out of his mind. They could really start to believe if this leads to worse things here for Barbatacos.
But 18 kills on these light cav from Miguel, absolutely brutalizing Daniel's eco. He's down to only 38 vills.
Ooh, missed that. Sato,
there's a lot going on.
Maybe focus on the front.
There's 2 of us for a reason.
And Daniel also being hit by the galleys from Kingston, so he will lose water as well. So he's in a weak spot, and the gate is now closed, by the way. So there will be no more camels coming through. And also, pretty competitive situation for Dogao on water. Well, actually, it's not competitive at all. He's losing his docks. So water being lost for Barbatacos in the north. Water probably going to be lost for My Insanity in the south.
Wow, this game is getting pretty darn back and forth. Villager counts are more or less even. The army counts, we have a slight lead here for My Insanity. Yes, the units are being very annoying right now, but the thing is, Miguel will still eventually clean it all up. But yeah, honestly, huge credit to ACCM this game for using that timing with Malay to really have a strong fight back on water and now completely taking Dogao's Navy out of the picture.
Yeah, agreed. It was a really good job. I think, like, with the way the game was panning out, it really felt like ACCM was going to lose water. But Dogao had to go kill fish, so he couldn't take down docks. And so ACCM was able to stick around. Daniel's trying to stick around as well. I really think the best thing for Daniel to do here is just to try and drop TCs and try and, like, just get eco for later on. Because, like, I mean, that or stay stubborn on water, either or. But he's in a tough spot right now.
Eco, mass navy, it's all the same.
Dude, if Sito wouldn't have... I'm guessing what he did was he double-clicked and selected all of his camels on screen and accidentally brought that one camel out of the gate. If he didn't do that, he's still running through and massacring eco. So he's attacking the gate right now, but it actually is a pretty big deal that he closed the gate again. And here come monks from Miguel, and Miguel could start to convert some of these camels, and Sito will have to back away for now.
Also, Dogao learning from his mistakes, the gate is locked.
Yeah, true. True.
Don't want to let that happen again, as the monk is going to be able to force those camels right back. You don't want to give free units to your opponent, even though that's exactly what happened. But at the end of the day, Pockets, same exact villager count. We have ACCM ahead on his side, and then Daniel behind on his side. So overall, things are still pretty even between the two teams.
I don't think Sito can be stopped right now. I really don't. Like, we got a Ram, we got a Mangonel. They need more walls behind, and fast. If these camels get through, the only player playing on land is the Georgian player who's making knights, and the occasional monk. They need more walls behind, and they need a castle behind those walls eventually. Timing is of the essence there. Still Daniel losing on water. He will try and use the odd fire ship or two to snipe any fish that may be out there. But I don't know. Does water matter much now? It feels like the water was just to set up the ecos and like give ACCM a fish boom, for example. I don't know if Navy actually plays a role until maybe Imperial Age. Like maybe cannon galleons could become a factor.
And they certainly can. Notably, coinage is now in here for Dogao. So after losing water, he's thinking, okay, the best way I can support my team is if I am slinging. And Castle is coming in here defensively. And on the one hand, it's a very scary blob of camels. But on the other hand, Manaspa are a very silly unit. Mm-hmm. And, okay, Castle's actually going to be placed a little bit further to the south as this is now the angle that is being attacked. And fortified wall, makes my heart sing.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it. And this castle has to go up fast for Miguel. Teamwork is needed. Kingston will need stone walls from his siege workshop to the edge. I think it's too much to ask to try and build 2 more pieces of stone wall here when there's a Mangonel and 3 monks. Maybe they're not expecting it. Maybe a couple hits is worth it. But I think stone walls behind would have been more realistic, and the villagers do get converted. But that one vill gets a couple extra hits. And I think Kingston's Black Forest experience is something to trust there.
Yep.
Navy from ACCM's
that's a very bold
over here
monastery.
Now. Yeah, they didn't know there was going to be a castle there. The camels are about to run through. They're finally going to break through. They're so hyped, and there's a castle. And they're not getting through.
Awkward.
And Miguel's up.
Oh, wow. Indeed. How much is... Yeah, he's gotten around 1,000 resources, a little bit more than that slung to him by Dogao, who's just going to be cruising here with his own eco. He's stolen 80 vills. That's a lot to be able to send to your ally. And this is Barbataco's, what they think is their best way back in this game, is just snowballing things with Manaspa's. Castle number 2 is on the way.
Are Manaspa good enough to make against camels? I don't think they are. From this position... Can you do it? Like, wouldn't Halb make... I guess Halb is tricky, too, because maybe the Malay player could go Karambits then?
I really want to say that the Manaspa aren't going to be good enough for this.
They shouldn't
I really do.
Balance-wise. Yeah, like, balance-wise, they shouldn't be, right? But I think that there's a lot of questions on if the unit's balanced. I think if you get Elite Manaspa before Heavy Camel, you could wreck. But I think if it's full upgrades for both, I think that camels are going to be enough. I hope so. I think what you said is the best way to say it. If life is fair, if the game is balanced.
Exactly. But honestly, I'm most impressed this game by ACCM's turnaround on the water. Like, he got clobbered early on by Dogao, but now forced his opponent to be in this situation where he is just stuck slinging.
Yeah.
He's fully stonewalling himself. You have a lot of rocks on the edge of this map to sort of limit the potential surface area that you can be landed or have docks rebuilt. And, I mean, at this point, Kingstone has a big navy, but he has no land army. So it's entirely down to Miguel to make some big plays happen. And again, I think it just goes right back to the question, are the Manaspa going to be good enough?
Yeah, I think there's a big argument to be made for Daniel to sling either Sito or ACCM. Probably Sito because camels are really pricey and Malay units are pretty cheap. But, yeah, okay, so they see Manaspa, so this is actually really important for my insanity. They can look at the unit and see the upgrades, and when they see those upgrades, they will know that this is a commitment to the Manaspa. And they know more camels will be needed. Halbs could be needed. Camel and Halbs should certainly do it. That's all Miguel.
It really comes down to this. Right now, we have just, actually, no, 3 castles for Manaspa production. That is going to be pretty sick. Both Blast Furnace and Plate Parting Armor are coming in at the same time.
And Elite. This is the fight. They have 40 seconds before Heavy Camel. They do have a lot of Manaspa and a lot of mugs for Miguel. Oh, man. Full upgrade Manaspa. 14 plus 7 attack. They receive a lot of bonus damage from the camels, but it's not Heavy Camel yet. You get some attacks in before Heavy Camel. This is the best time to take the fight.
3 monks in the back looking for some big conversions as well, but now Heavy Camel is in. Is this going to be enough for the Manaspa? Oh,
it feels like it's just enough. Like, without the sling, this would never have been achievable. He got more numbers out. They also produced stupid fast from the castle, too. And now the snowball could start. Daniel can't defend himself. He needs support from camels, but then also there needs to be, Sito needs to protect where ACCM's position is with the barracks. He's going to have Halb, though. If this unit
This is getting really interesting here.
If
because
this beats
MYI
Halb,
was set up beautifully.
Halb Heavy Camel?
Camel.
Like, come on, there's no way, right? There should be no way.
Oh, my goodness.
Miguel dives a little deep there, but still has so much faith that this unit's busted. He's going to fight a unit that is designed to counter him, the camel. He's taking the fights just for the pure snowball of it all, but the camels are holding now. And there's Halbs on the other side, and there's Trebs on the other side for my insanity. I don't know if Miguel can do it alone. There will be Kingston and him soon, but that castle will go down. And Miguel is losing too many fights, in my opinion, Orlu.
Yeah, it seems like it's just not quite good enough. ACCM absolutely coming online for his part. Halbs are coming out. Gotta love Malay with the free armor upgrades. It's just so ridiculously good. And now the Manaspa are going to be forced back a little bit. That said, if the Manaspa are scary, and they are, Manaspa supported by Genoese crossbowmen are much scarier. And Kingstone's on 106 vills. His eco is getting to where it needs to be.
Yeah, and Daniel's out of the game, right? Daniel is sending resources now, too. So it's going to be a 2v2. And I think Genoese Manaspa is a better team composition than Camel and Halb, because Genoese crossbow can counter everything that's remaining. And alarm bells going off right now for my insanity. As Persians, you're pretty much stuck on Cav. There's not much I can suggest. The Malay player could try archers, though. So there's an opportunity.
It's just they're not as good as the Genoese crossbowmen in that situation. All of that extra bonus damage matters a lot. That said, the heavy camels are really starting to come online and get their job done. The Manaspa need to be in and around like 30 or so to get that full extra attack.
Something to point out.
Manaspa numbers low. That's
something to point out, which I don't think is, unimportant, is the Navy numbers are kind of similar for the two for blue and red player here. I bring that up because there may be trade in this game, and if you want your trade to be as far away as possible, you're gonna market the sides, right? So Navy encountering each other, that's actually a super close fight. Just keep that in mind. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, because Daniel's gonna lose his whole base if he doesn't receive more support, and the only support he's been receiving is from camel units, which cannot be the answer anymore.
Now, the Genoese crossbowmen are really starting to come online. Kingsstone got a little bit of a sling, but really not that much. So he's just been more organically able to get to the super important unit. And although the Halb push from ACCM is good, although the camels from Sito are good, they're not together. And that's just because the initial push was from Miguel. So he was able to sort of split up his two opponents in this push towards Daniel. And that is so important in taking these fights.
And Dogao could eventually come Imp and I think be more helpful than Daniel, both economically, but also with the Civ, right? I think that the Dravidian Elephant Archers could be a good option. Romans, Scorpions? Like, maybe Scorpions. They're really awkward civilization at this stage. So much army for Barbatacos, and ACCM and Sito want so badly to take out these castles, want so badly to stay alive. But the Trebs are just so exposed. I'm waiting for Miguel to dive here. They can take those Trebs. There's not enough Halbs there. The Camels are not in position. And say goodbye to your Trebuchets, ACCM. There's no way he keeps these alive.
Well, if you're patrolling in, the Monospil will prioritize the regular units over the Trebs, and that's still even not enough to keep that castle alive. Oh my goodness, this is so decisive, guys. Barbatacos take a huge lead, and they are still just a fight or two away from the grand finals, where I don't think many people expected them to be.
They were seed 9. They were seed 9.
Yep.
Miguel's got some raids in. I think they made a hole in Dogao's walls, and he's now running through, and he is raiding ACCM like crazy. That means camels from Sito have to be sent that direction, which I guess is fine because they're completely wasted on the other side. But more ground is being lost. Trade is going to start for Barbatacos, and it does feel like we're moments away from Barbatacos going directly into that final.
Yeah, this is just getting absolutely ridiculous. We have elite Genoese crossbowmen in. They still need a few more upgrades to get to their fully upgraded status, but they're coming in. Pavisa, leather archer armor, both going to be super important. And just Malay and Persians don't feel like they have the army quality that you're looking for at this point in the game. And it turns out that maybe losing water was the best thing that could happen for Dogao.
Yeah, maybe.
As, Sling was just absolutely critical in getting to Miguel, having that slight lead in early Imp that they are snowballing like crazy.
And Kingston's lead over Daniel, plus the options with the civilization, he was so important to come back into this game, and he's played like a maniac since. He's got 40 Genoese, he's got 140 eco, and my insanity won't want to call it, but what I'm waiting for is just that next switch. They don't have to, but another army could go directly into ACCM's base. And they can't stop this at this point. It's just too strong an army. Genoese are elite when they weren't before. Armor's coming in that wasn't in before. Poor Daniel has villagers exposed everywhere. It's tough to see a way back.
It is indeed. And once we have purple getting back into the game, Dravidians do have a lot of strong late game options. You can go for your own halves if you really need that. You could go for champions, you can go for elephant archers, lots of stuff you can do to help support your allies. As right now, it just... What do the hand cannons even do right now for Sito? They're not that great versus anything.
They are high damage.
Yeah.
And so you don't need bonus damage for them. That's good. They needed some type of ranged unit as well. But the Manaspa and the Genoese, working with higher attack, working with cheaper cost, lots of bonus damage at play. It just simply isn't close. My Insanity had high hopes for this tournament. They've had a great tournament. Yeah. But I think that this is going to be where it ends for them, as everything gets mopped up here. Just too good of a composition for Miguel and Kingston.
And there it is. GG called. Barbatacos take the 4-1 win. I mean, on the one hand, it was still a pretty close series. I wouldn't say this was like a dominant win, despite what the scoreline says, but
Agreed.
It was still, I'd say, decisive. And I am so interested to see if they can take it to, probably, but not necessarily GL in the finals.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think My Insanity will realize, man, if like one game goes differently in the 1v1s, if one of those team games, they get a couple more villager kills, this is going to 7, right? It was really that close of a series, but I got to commend Barbatacos for their ability to come back when they fall behind. I remember, I forget the name of it. It was Hilly, there was Gold. It was the Berbers Miguel game.
Yeah, Amargosa.
Okay, so that map, Barber Tacos fell behind, and they're like the bonuses were against them. Dogal got lamed, and guess what? They won that game. And then here, like it actually looked as though Sato and ACCM in particular, had a massive lead over Dogal. There was the hole in the gate. Again, things went wrong for Barber Tacos, and then yet they turn it around, and that is what has been so amazing about them. And so 9 seed making it to the finals. I mean, you look at team games, you look at 1v1 tournaments over the past couple years. That is just simply not something that happens usually. And that's what happened here. So Sky, at this point, Barber Tacos will be very happy, but they'd love nothing more than to win that final. And I guess we got to find out who they're going to be up against with semifinal number 2 on the way.